whenever things work for you, you just go for them. It's not a matter of, putting things in your heart the way that we, the common mwananchi, do. We normally just put things, we take things so seriously when it comes to politics, but that should not be the case. I don't remember who said this, but there's someone who said politics usiweke kwa roho. Unaweka kwa lungs, ukipumua.
Called Senator.
Inatoka. Yes, Mandago is the one who said, unaweka kwa lungs, unapumua, unasahau, So I wasn't really surprised, and it's always good to see people coming together to work together, you know. And actually on the Star, right here on the Star newspaper, they've highlighted, or rather just give us the road to Raila's AU, the journey, the plan. He's supposed to be nominated by the president, that is William Samoei Ruto, and then Musalia Mudavadi, the selection process. They've just given us a run through of how things will be, will go through, and I'm sure Victor will take us through that later on in the headlines together with the panelists that are going to be here in studio. So do not go too far. We have a lot in store for you right here, from politics to entrepreneurship and the news. My name is Vivian Dagwa. Welcome to the show. Mike, good morning.
A very good morning. A very good morning to you, and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe, and as Vivian alluded to, we'll be having Entrepreneurship Tuesday, and today we are going to take a little bit of a different route, and we are going to look at the United Nations Environmental Assembly that is taking place here in Nairobi. It started yesterday and is running up until the 1st of March, and we'll be looking at how multilateralism can help tackle the triple planetary crisis of climate change, nature and biodiversity, laws, and pollution and waste. So what can African countries look forward to or pursue, and how is this going to pan out? We are going to look at that in detail, and in studio I will be joined by one Daniel Wanjoki, who is the lead scientist and CEO of EcoSave Africa. So you want to tune in to that conversation later on in the program. Right about now, good morning, Marie.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mike, Victor, and Vivian. And good morning to you from wherever you're joining us. This is indeed Good Morning Kenya. My name is Maria. And so just before I bring you up to speed with what is happening in the news, including the fact that police and prisons officers will actually be receiving a pay hike by July this year, and this as the government also renews its calls, or at least its fight, against drug barons in the country. Later on in sports, I'll be bringing you details of how two-time Olympic champion, that is Faith Kipyegon, has been nominated for the 2024 Laureus World Sports Awards. So you want to keep it locked here. But I just want to, touch again on what Victor was talking about. The three gentlemen who were seen together. So I think I don't know when we will ever learn, Victor, that there are no enemies in politics.
Yes. Like
Vivian has said, it's a game of convenience. And until we understand that when somebody wants something, then we become friends at that moment. And then what's the matter with the Jaden name? Jason.
I was just trying to imagine a Jaden as a grandfather.
My grandfather in the late, you're going to, what is your grandfather's name? Guganga naitwa Jason.
There's nothing wrong with that. We go with the current,
Let's go for
generation.
some serious names like Mike Migui.
Yes.
No, Migui.
Yes.
In that generation, it will actually, be okay. So for now, you can't understand it.
No, we need to. Bartholomew is a serious name. Ezekiel is a serious grandfather's name.
You said that, and something clicked in my mind about the kind of music that will be Zilizopendo of that time.
Oh, just ask me that again. Zilizopendo, Kaveve, that one, Ilienda, Karudi.
Yeah.
But maybe we should go back to our African names, Victor. At that rate, maybe we should just go back to our African names.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No, let's just put it this way. Your name, my grandmom is called Marie Yambo. That sounds okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But my grandma is called
Shakira.
Sierra.
Kyla.
Laura.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you have against
So thank you once again for joining us this morning. Let me bring you up to speed with what is happening in the news, where at least 9 people are feared dead and scores of others have sustained serious injuries following a road accident involving a matatu in Machakos County last evening. Now confirming the incident, Yatta Sub-County Police Commander, that is Jane Macau, said 8 people died on the spot following the accident that occurred near Katange Market along the Machakos-Kitui Highway. Victims of the accident were rushed to the Machakos Level 5 hospital for treatment. The driver of the ill-fated vehicle that was also carrying tons of bags of charcoal is said to have lost control before landing in a ditch.
Kwa sasa ningalipenda kuomba public kama relatives wangojee mahali ambapo tumewaonyesha ili tuwape madaktari nafasi ya kutosha waweze kuhudumia wagonjwa, kwa sababu dakika moja ya kuinterrupt daktari inaweza kusababisha maisha kupotea. Hivyo basi nimefunga casualty kwa wageni kwa sasa mpaka wakati ambapo madaktari wataweza kuwachukua wale wanakuja na wale ambapo wanaendelea kupata matibabu.
Our condolences to the families who've lost loved ones and definitely quick recovery through the injured. Now, police and prisons officers are set to receive 40% salary increment starting July this year. Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo says the increment will be implemented in 3 phases. He said the move is part of the reforms in the security sector.
4 months after receiving the National Task Force report on police reforms, the government has reassured of its commitment to full implementation of its recommendations. Speaking after hosting a Peace, Security and Development Cooperation Roundtable in Nairobi, Interior Permanent Secretary Raymond Omolo confirmed that the proposed increment of salaries for security officers will be top on the reforms agenda.
Maybe just a top highlight of some of those priorities. One is with regards to the institutional reforms within the security sector. So whether it's the reforms within the National Police Service, the reforms within the Kenya Prison Service, and generally the reforms within the coordination of national government administration.
He said the government, in collaboration with development partners, has made strides in security sector reforms by enhancing the capacity of the national security agencies.
Engagements towards improving not just the infrastructure, but also capacity building of the officers that work with us within the ministry.
And in particular, on behalf of Correctional Services, State Department, we commit to implement the Maraga report to its fullest extent.
Representatives of the development partners have in the meantime lauded Kenya's commitment to implementation of police reforms, as well as safeguarding the welfare of refugees.
We had the opportunity this morning to look at a whole range of areas of cooperation. Let me just touch on 3 so rapidly. The first, in the area of the refugee file. We're so excited that the Sharika plan, after 30 years of generous hosting of refugees in Kenya, is going to help us make this transition to helping the development of host communities and refugees together. We're really, as partners, looking forward to supporting that.
The government has warned that any security officer found culpable of working in cahoots with drug barons will not only be sacked but also face the full force of the law. Speaking in Mombasa County, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government will no longer sit and watch as a generation that is wiped out due to substance abuse, and he asked the authorities to ensure that they do not give a blind eye to the menace. This as the government ordered the arrest of drug barons in the coast region within the coming 4 days.
The rising magnitude of drug and substance abuse in the country is giving the authorities sleepless nights, with the government targeting the source, the drug barons. And the ideal place to begin, the coastal region. It's against this background that the state agencies and stakeholders conference on ending illicit brews, drugs and substance abuse chose Mombasa County for the forum. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua putting on notice security operators for sleeping with the drug barons. Sentiments echoed by the Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Kindiki Kithure, Inspector General Japheth Kome, and other leaders present.
Sasa kwani ni kazi gani sisi tunafanya? Hii watu wanajulikana, pahali wanauza wanajulikana. Nyinyi mfanye kazi yenu. I think within 2 weeks RC, you must get rid of this problem. Tunataka kusikia watu kotini. Please, can you do your job? Tafadhali mfanye kazi yenu. Wacha tuheshimiane tafadhali. Kila mtu afanye kazi yake. Nyinyi mko na mshahara, sisi tuko na mshahara. Kila mtu wako na mshahara. Kila mtu afanye kazi yake.
Any official in the law enforcement and public service space who through action or inaction contributes to the death of Kenyans, through negligence, they allow dangerous criminals, organized criminals, including drug barons, to have their way to access the public. That officer will not be transferred, as you've said, Your Excellency, elsewhere, because every inch of our territory requires efficient services and the protection of its national security organs.
But the biggest weakness that has been there towards eradicating this menace is at the enforcement level. If we know these drug dealers, how comes they've not been apprehended?
Hakuna siku waziri wangu professor. Hakuna siku deputy president. Hakuna siku president amenipigia simu kuniambia usishike huyu. Aachilia huyu. Sasa nani anakupigia simu?
The DP at the same time took coast leaders for remaining mum on the vice.
These are elected leaders. Mbona wanaogopa kuongea? Or could it be some of these drug barons waliwasaidia wakitafuta viti? This is a question we asking, because why are people quiet?
Meanwhile, the Deputy President instructed that all criminal gangs in Kisauni and Likoni are dealt with.
Thank you, Ann Buru, for that report. Controversial televangelist Bishop David Kariuki-Ngare, alias Gakuyo, and founder of the Ekeza Sacco, has finally been charged with 13 offences. Gakuyo, who is charged for defrauding a section of Kenyans over 1 billion shillings through the Sacco between 2015 and 2018, denied the offences and was released on a 20 million shillings bond. Elsewhere, 2 families from Meru County have moved to court to seek redress over burial wrangles of their father. Details in the Skills of Justice segment.
Appearing before Senior Principal Magistrate Ben Makehubi, the Calvary Chosen Center Church overseer Gakuyo pleaded not guilty to 13 charges. The court was treated to a drama after Gakuyo declined to take plea for Ekeza Sacco, with this battery of lawyers led by Ndegwa Njiru claiming those are 2 separate entities.
Be told to plead to a charge to him. That charge can only be read to Ekeza Sacco. That should be very clear, and we will raise it. I thought one of the things.
Let our application is I can help. No. It's our application.
Gakuyo and Ekeza Sacco are also charged with obtaining money under the pretense that they could sell land.
Question of public interest is a creation of the prosecution in attempts to spike emotions in this case. We ask that the court does admit the accused person on reasonable bail terms and conditions.
Prosecutor Henry Kinyanjui had the court to issue a warrant of arrest for the second accused, Ekeza Sacco, for not appearing in court. Gakuyo has been in custody since 21st February 2024, when he was arrested en route to Zambia.
This person may be granted a cash bail of Kenya shillings 10 million, so a cash bail of 10 million shillings, and then he'll provide 2 contact persons. Yeah, so 10 million Kenya shillings with 2 contact persons who will be examined by the court. And the further directive is that one of the contact person must be an employee working with the government or a public officer. And then the C, the first accused person to deposit his passport as a prerequisite for being admitted to bond.
And two families are moved to court over where to bury their father Silas Kamuta Igweta, aged 100 years. The first family is opposed to a decision to bury the man at the second family's home.
They developed sickness, and for 40 years, Mzee has been at the custody of the daughters and the sons who are here and their second wife, mother. He wrote a will saying that he should be buried in the second wife's place.
And away from the scales of justice now, a section of Ma leaders on Monday staged peaceful protest in Maralal, Samburu County following the killing of Angata Nyanyukue MCA, that is Paul Leshimpiro, by bandits led by Samburu Governor Lati Lelelet and his Kajiado counterpart Joseph Olelenku. Leaders and residents condemned the killing as they petitioned the county commissioner's office to bring perpetrators to book. The governor's alleged bandits have moved away from cattle rustling and now want the residents to abandon their land by launching attacks.
Hapa tunadanganya rais kila siku kumba this valley is inaccessible. Wakati ya Moi, kwani Moi alikuwa anaingia huko anatoa na amani inakuja for 20 years. Wakati ya Moi hakuna mtu alikuwa anaishi Malaso. Because watu walikuwa wanatumpia and then chini tuoni watu.
Ni lazima hawa wahalifu ambaye wametoka kaunti jirani ya Baringo, ambaye tunaelezwa ni jamii ya Wapokot, serikali ichukue hatua kwao, kwa sababu hatuwezi kujenga taifa kwa kupoteza watu.
Viongozi wa usalama kama wakaaji wa Samburu County kweli ni wa Kenya. We really just want to understand how many lives of people of Samburu County will be enough. How many lives and how many of their livelihoods will be enough to attract the attention of the government.
The education and agriculture sector will receive the lion's share of the budgetary allocation in the upcoming financial year. Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro, who also chairs the Budget and Appropriations Committee in the National Assembly, now says the move is aimed at uplifting the standards of education in the country.
Speaking while presiding over the disbursement of NGCDF bursary funds in Kapseret constituency, Kiharu Member of Parliament and also the chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee in the National Assembly, Ndindi Nyoro, said out of the 4.14 trillion budget, the lion's share goes to education and agriculture sectors.
Ya kwamba hauna pesa, ya kwamba unasomeshwa na basari, ya kwamba wewe hata unafanyiaga watu vibarua, upate pesa ya kupea mtoto wako pocket money. Hiyo Mungu haangalii akibariki huyu mtoto wako.
He added that the allocation in the Ministry of Agriculture will assist in the provision of subsidized fertilizer to farmers to enable them reap profits. Meanwhile, Kenya Kwanza allied MPs have reiterated that they will support the push for Raila Odinga's bid in the AU chairmanship.
Kwa sababu yeye ametuletea mambo mingi, hata katiba alichangia, mambo mingi amechangia. Mimi naomba Wakenya wote tuko wangwana, tuunge mkono Raila Amolo Odinga awe chairman wetu wa kule, ndio pia dunia mzima ijue Wakenya ni watu wangwana.
Elsewhere, the Democratic Action Party of Kenya leader Eugene Wamalwa has now hinted that he will be taking a stab at the presidency in the 2027 general elections. Wamalwa says he will free the country from corruption that has dragged the country backwards.
Leo nasema hapa Turkana, Mungu akipenda na watu wa Turkana mpende, museme kijana ya Wamalwa akamilishe safari ya ndugu yake Wamalwa kijana. Mimi nasema ya kwamba ile executive order ya kwanza nitatoa ni kurudisha jina ya Kenya kutoka Hustler Nation to the Kenyan nation that is respected and united.
Still staying with education matters, where the Ministry of Education has instructed the Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service, that is KUPS, to extend the application for placement in higher learning institutions to March the 4th this year. Education Cabinet Secretary, that is Ezekiel Machogu, said the 7 days extension will enable the remaining applicants get a chance to submit their choices both to universities and colleges. 121,391 candidates who obtained C+ and above in the 2023 KCSE examination had applied for various courses as of February the 25th, 2024.
The initial application deadline was February 22nd, 2024, but was later pushed to February 26th, 2024. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu says as of February 25th, 2024, a total of 121,391, which is equivalent to 60.8% of the 199,695 of the students who obtained C+ and above in the 2023 KCSE examination, had applied for various courses in the institutions of higher learning. The CS saying that the ministry has taken note of the challenges that some students are facing in the ongoing application process and encouraged the applicants whose payments are experiencing unusual delays to use the USSD code *222# to confirm their payments and or trigger validation, as the ministry is working to address the challenge. He further says a detailed procedure for the process is to be disseminated immediately by KUCCPS. The CS further say that all students who scored a mean grade of between C and E are particularly asked to take advantage of the ongoing applications to select their desired diploma, craft certificate, or artisan programs offered in the ministry's TVET institutions.
Tilia Marco reporting there. Now, the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Professor Njuguna Ndung'u, has dismissed claims that the country's credit rating will dip owing to a decision by the Finance Action Task Force to list Kenya as one of the countries with weak anti-money laundering systems. The CS, who appeared before the National Assembly Public Debt and Privatization Law Committee, says Kenya found itself on the global grey list owing to queries on its slow pace in strengthening key institutions and implementing laws to safeguard against money laundering and terrorism financing. Abdiaziz Hashim with more details.
Barely a week after Kenya found itself in the global watch list for failing to safeguard against money laundering,
the medium-term debt management strategy,
Cabinet Secretary for Treasury Njuguna Ndung'u was before the National Assembly Committee on Public Debt and Privatization.
Remember in 2009-2010, I fought very hard. Kenya was going to blacklisting, not even grey listing, to blacklisting.
The CS had a hard time explaining to the legislators how Kenya ended up on the global grey list.
The whole issue is that this is a new administration in transition, and with your support, we made 17 amendments to the law. But now, the shortfall now is the implementation process and strengthening our institutions.
Njuguna dismissed fears that this could affect the country's credit rating in the global arena.
But also, in terms of our credit rating, that may not worsen the credit rating. Because essentially what we're really saying is that it is the institutional DNA that is being questioned. How do we move with speed? There was an earlier question you said, were we rushing to the Eurobond because of the grey listing? No.
Further, he informed the MPs that Kenya had already reached out to bilateral and multilateral partners to seek a solution, a revelation that elicited queries.
But we are on observation to make sure that we crawl back and move away from the grey listing. By the way, some of the countries that are even providing us with bilateral support are also in the grey listing.
On the question of Eurobond,
what we did at that particular time was very appropriate because risk was actually building up and cost of risking also was building up. The waiting option was coming in. In fact, if you look at our foreign direct investments, you'll see that they had gone to zero. So essentially, they were being driven by this waiting option. And so dislodging the market from this waiting option was very important.
On that note, let's take a break. I'll be back with much more.
你到底想要我感动什么？我就一棵树嘛，这里最不缺的就是树，比这年龄大呀，那多的是。
更深层的东西，我准备给中央写信，反映他们这种不好的现象。
我没告诉他，其实能进入北部林场已经很幸运了。
Why didn't you tell me the truth, Reynaldo?
I didn't say anything about what?
Why didn't you tell me that the person who rescued me on the beach wasn't you, but Ruben? Tell me. Why don't you tell him what I came here for? Tell him.
Stop it. That's enough.
Go ahead. Why don't you tell him? Ask her what happened,
I'm
Dad.
not interested. This whole thing's over.
Just get out of my house. I don't want to see you, simple as that. And it's better if we forget about what happened between us.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevatishwa.
Zile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome back. Now, this sixth session of the United Nations Environment Assembly kicked off in Nairobi with the revelation that Kenya is accelerating its transition from the linear economy to a circular one. Environment Cabinet Secretary, that is Soipan Toya, speaking at the start of the week-long meeting, says Kenya is in the forefront in advocating against the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution.
Monday morning in Nairobi, thousands of delegates gathered for the sixth session of the UN Environment Assembly. Day one of the 5-day meeting will begin with a focus on the role of multilateralism in tackling pressing environmental challenges. Addressing the Assembly, Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry Soipan Toya stated that the government has put in place measures intended to fight the triple planetary crisis.
We, for instance, have seen positive global progress on several fronts in the past few years, including the adoption of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the Global Framework on Chemicals, Pollution and Waste, and the UNEA 5.2 resolution to end plastic pollution and forge an international legally binding agreement by end of this year.
This, even as she called on environmental stakeholders to prioritize environmental protection and sustainability.
Flip side of this progress has also been a rather worrying trend. Scientific assessments continue to provide us with stark evidence that we must do more to address the environmental crisis.
The meeting brings together heads of state and governments and over 5,000 delegates to discuss ways of conserving the environment and mitigating against the adverse effects of climate change. The theme of this year's assembly is effective, inclusive, and sustainable multilateral actions to tackle climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution.
Of course, that conference is ongoing this week, and our reporter Jailo Picho will be on that beat, and so we'll be bringing you up to date with what's happening today. Now, the government is banking on a multi-stakeholders approach to deal with challenges facing the construction industry in Kenya. The Multi-Stakeholders Agency Committee is crafting a framework that will address cases of poor workmanship, corruption, and expertise shortage in the country. The committee, reconstituted in 2022, is meeting in Mombasa to highlight issues affecting the sector and propose remedial measures. O'Brien Kimani with that beat.
It's a committee that is focused to ensure that we have zero building collapses in this country. This has been a problem for Kenya, and we are gathered here to in this retreat to share ideas after the team was reconstituted in 2022 December by the CS Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development. After working for 1 year, we are now here to review the steps, milestones and the strategies to ensure that we have a well-organized built environment. Secondly, through the leadership of the head of public service, all the players within the built environment, on 28th of October last year, we met and we also agreed to ensure that we put our minds together to ensure that Kenyans get value for money.
At the end of this workshop, we expected to come up with the policy interventions that will address some of the gaps that still exist to mitigate and address the issues of incidences of collapsing buildings and even safety in the construction sector in Kenya. And most importantly, it is going to include all the players. Actually, more than 12 different players in the built environment are here, including from the county up to national government. So at the end of the 5 days, it's expected that we'll come up with robust, tangible policy interventions. And of course, the policy owner is here, our PS, which will be driven through the necessary policy developments and approval. And once done, it will improve the enforcement provision, it will improve the regulatory framework. And going forward, I think we'll be talking of safe built environment once and for all.
The construction industry is a key driver of economic development here in Kenya. The sector, with a value of 2.6 trillion Kenya shillings, has undergone major challenges in the last 10 years. That requires urgent intervention if the industry will continue to grow. And that's why stakeholders from various sectors are meeting here in Mombasa to chart the way forward. From Mombasa, I'm O'Brien Kimani.
Thank you, O'Brien. Now let's look at sports, where two-time Olympic champion, that is Faith Kipyegon, has been nominated for the 2024 Laureus World Sports Awards, scheduled to take place on the 22nd of April in Madrid. Kipyegon became the first woman to win the double of the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters in the IAAF World Athletics Championship in Budapest last year. She also set 3 new world records in the 5,000 meters and the 1,500 meters, taking almost a full second off the previous mark and the women's 1 mile record, where she shaved off 5 seconds. The 29-year-old is the only Kenyan nominee and sits alongside other sporting greats such as the 200-meter world record holder Sharik Jackson, 100-meter world champion Shari Carl Richardson, and world tennis #1 Iga Swiatek. In the men's category, the nominees include tennis great Novak Djokovic, 3-time Formula 1 champion, that is Max Verstappen, Man City star Erling Haaland, and 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, that is Lionel Messi. Well, and that story brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. My name is Marie Ambo. Victor Lo will be here to take you through the rest of the show together with Mike and Vivian. Goodbye for now.
John Cheruiyot's education journey ended after completing his A-level examination at Kakamega High School in 1971, where he was a loyal member of the Christian Union. His journey in politics would begin when the late Ezekiel Barangetuni, the then Nandi Kingpin, would recommend him to replace the then National Assembly Speaker Samuel Arap Ngeni, who appeared to have had a fallout with the government. Cheruiyot had an added advantage as he was the son of Ezekiel Birek, the head of the African Inland Church, where the late President Moi was an ardent worshipper. This would expose him to the field of politics from business, and in 1988 he was elected Aldai Member of Parliament through the infamous Mlolongo political system. Unknown to many, Cheruiyot became the minister after his Tinderet counterpart was sacked hardly 9 months after assuming office as Minister for Commerce. Cheruiyot would go ahead to serve as minister for 4 years from 1988 to 1992. At that time, the Commissioner for Cooperatives, Raymond Bomet, had more political clout than the minister. In many instances, Bomet executed his mandate without consulting him, with serious implications in some instances. Bomet, who enjoyed unfettered access to the then president, could make decisions like dissolving cooperative boards without informing the minister. It was during Cheruiyot's tenure that several cooperative societies and unions went under, largely due to undue political pressure. In 1992, he lost his Aldai parliamentary seat to Paul Titi. In 1993, he was appointed Rivertex Limited chairman before he disappeared into political obscurity. In 2015, a Nairobi court jailed him for 6 years for failing to pay a 20-year-old outstanding debt of 2 million shillings, of which 1.6 million shillings was interest. He successfully appealed and the jail term was suspended. Today, Cheruiyot's presence is felt more in nostalgic reminiscence than in the political arena. He would retreat to his family farm after departing from the murky political landscape to a quiet life after a journey that was marked by both triumph and tribulations. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Welcome back. It's now 7:15 a.m. Good morning. Welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya. Time for People and Politics. We want to take a look at what's making headlines in the world of politics and what you really need to know in the coming days or weeks. And as of course, what really happened in the past 24 hours and in the past weekend. Welcome to the program. I'm Victor Low. On set, I have Frank Ocherry, who is an advocate of the High Court. He's also policy and governance and political analyst. In studio with me, I'm still waiting for Advice Mundalo. Advice Mundalo is the Jubilee Party Youth National Chair. He's also joining me on set very shortly. But right about now, Frank, good morning. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at what you have on the traffic very quickly and take a look at what's happening in the land of traffic. Let me start with the capital city as always. Yeah, there we have it. So the major highways, let me start with from the western side of the city. This is all the way from Kangemi down to Westlands roundabout, moving pretty fine. As you come into the CBD, looking good. A bit of some traffic around here. This must be at the entrance or exit of the expressway. That's where the the red patch here is. But after that, the entire Uhuru Highway stretch is moving pretty fine as you head towards Mombasa Road. So far, so good. How about Langata Road? Langata Road, so far today is looking pretty fine. As well as the entire stretch of Bagadi Way, that is also joining Ngong Road. Ngong Road, tuko sawa? Watu Ngong Road, good morning. that is where we are. But a bit of some traffic, not a bit of traffic, but there is, it's quite chock-a-block here along this must be around Ngong Racecourse, and it's moving all the way to the junction. This is where the light is, the traffic lights. This is where we are. So the entire stretch at Ngong Road is bumper to bumper, and I know this time around you have no option. Well, if you can get an option, get through Kibra and later join Ngong Road, well and good, you can. That's also affecting Kingara Road, as you can see, but you have to be very much patient. Gitanga Road moving pretty fine. How about Watuango Thika Road? Good morning. This is what Thika Road looks like. This is it. So Thika Road starts all the way just right after Pangani, as always. This is what we have here. This is after Mudaiga, heading all the way past Madari Mental Hospital, Kenya Utalii Hotel, heading to KCB Sports Ground. That is past KCA University, and also headed to Kenya School Monetary Studies, as well as Allsops. This is where we are. So if you are coming from Thika Road or using that Thika Road, then you have no option but to be very much patient. That's also affecting the major highway and the service lane here. As you can see, not so okay, not so okay. And yes, advice told us that there's a problem here, so most probably he's stuck along Thika Road. That is why he's not yet here. How about more Kiambu Road? Kiambu Road again, as you can see, not okay. Not okay at all. That's extending towards the DCI headquarters there, past DCI, heading towards Four Ways or High Ridge. So yes, there we have it. What race, Lando? Good morning. Nothing much to report about. This is what it is. Come to work. The only problem is around Makadara. Watu takwanga busy around this place, but the entire stretch of the entire section of East Lando is okay. No, there's a problem. This is Manyanja Road. If I'm going to, yeah, this must be that Manyanja Road. Both sides. Not fine. So you have to be very much patient. How about we head over and take a look what's happening in Kisumu? Kisumu, nothing to report about. The town looks pretty fine. Nothing much to report about. Let's cross over to Mombasa finally. Mombasa, good morning. The entire stretch of the New Nyali Bridge is also a mess today. This was one of the best things that ever happened to Mombasa, as well as the Makupa Causeway. But see what it is today, heading towards the Kongowea Market there. Kongowea Market is also chock-a-block. It's always very busy. Perhaps Mama Mboga and guys will go to market to get their merchandise, you know, a wholesale price, and then head over to do their job. That's what it is. So today, Nyali Bridge looking pretty fine, not so good, and the entire Nyali Road, okay. Let's cross over and see what's happening at the Likoni. Where's that Likoni ferry channel today? Kwani imekwaje? Yeah, there we have it. All right. See? Not so okay as well. So, watu Mombasa, be patient as well. Otherwise, the entire stretch looking pretty fine. Frank Onshweri, let's take a look at what we have on the front page of Local Daily. Starting with the People Daily here. People Daily says that 2.1 billion shillings for schools cut. This is what's on the front page. It says that sagging under heavy weight of debt and bloated wage bill, Ruto's administration makes painful and drastic budget cuts in key ministries, including education. That's the story on the front page of the People Daily. But most importantly, we have got them here on the front page.
The three men.
The three men. We call them three wise men. I mean, it's that's now what's trending out. The three wise men.
The pillars of East Africa.
There you have it. We have got two Kenyans, Kenya One, and Raila Odinga, and of course the Mzee himself, Museveni. And of course the meeting is because of the AUC chairperson seat that Raila Odinga is gunning for. Yeah. So Uganda is an integral part of this bargain system. So either way, they had to meet. And you see now, the meeting is courtesy of Museveni. What went through your mind when you saw these three gentlemen? And of course, the pictures went, viral around 6, 7 thereabout in the evening.
Yeah.
So everyone went to bed with so many things running through your mind and waking up with another thing. What do you make of this picture?
I think it unifies the East African region.
Yes.
Because Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, those are nations that have a very key role to play when it comes to who says what in East Africa. Yes.
Yes.
So when they meet and they are having an agenda, it's very important that as Kenyans we realize the unity. The unity and the commitment to push one of us to the African Union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Museveni, he was proving not to be a hard nut to crack in as far as this is concerned. So the two gentlemen had to approach him because his vote is quite important as well.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. Museveni has been, we've had some history about him, which is not so good when it comes to issues to do with democracy. However, when you meet him, he's one person who can give you a vote and not just a vote.
Yeah.
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so on the front page of the People Daily here, 2.1 billion shillings for school skirt. That is what's making the splash. At least there is some, it's not so good. Sagging under heavy weight of what have you. The ministry had to make some drastic changes in the budget cuts. This most likely is going to affect the education system.
True.
Yeah.
I think the government is doing less when it comes to investing in education, which is basically what will drive the future generations in our country.
Yeah.
So when you get a budget cut off, it simply tells us that we are doing very badly. Yes.
Some case of impunity here. Before I come to another story, there is a story here of untouchable rogue city driver. The story here of this driver here, his name is Paul Kiere. Bypass Transsaco driver Paul Kiere is spotted ushering passengers onto his matatu. He is accused, according to police officers at Spring Valley Police Station, who claim that they have been unable to track him since July 2022. After, while driving another matatu belonging to Trans World Sacco, he knocked down and seriously injured a mother who ended up spending months in ICU.
Yes.
Police are not able to track him,
yes,
but the media is able to track him.
And that's why I say the media should be taking the work of the police in tracking people. Because how do you fail to track a driver where yet the vehicle is registered, the route is known, the route has, the SACCO has its officials.
Yes.
How do you fail to track them?
To track him. This is what it is. What the president's daughter desires. All right. Rishalin, and of course with the televangelist Benny Hinn last weekend at the Nyayo Stadium. What the president's daughter desires. You can take a look at that story on page 12. Allow me to leave it at that. Okay. Moving forward, we all know social media. And moving on to the front page of the Standard newspaper, the drugs disaster. This is what we have on the front page of the Standard newspaper here. The drugs disaster. Data from government reveals the war against drug and alcohol abuse is far from over. The risk of youth getting trapped in the addictions is more real than many have imagined. From the figures Deputy President ought to take fight to the coast and Nairobi, not just his central Kenya backyard. I mean, for how long? For how long?
I think the regulations on drugs are set. However, those responsible for ensuring that drugs don't engulf our youths are sleeping. Because even when you go to the village, the chiefs in the village are not able to regulate the illicit brew, which is illegal. And that only tells you how far as a country we need to go in ensuring that we bring down the drugs menace. Yes.
From an intellectual point of view, what is an illicit brew?
It is illicit.
It is illicit.
It is illegal. It is not wanted. It is not fit for human consumption. And that is what the government needs to look at. If the government is not able to regulate the production of that product, then we are in trouble.
Yeah, we are in trouble.
Yes.
And there are some figures here. If you can look, the national rate is at 2.5%. We have got 4.8%. Taking a look at what we really have in different categories. You can take a look at, we have got different figures. And now there's a conference happening currently in Mombasa on the fight against drug menace, mostly in the coast region. And there you have it. Hustlers raise concerns over new health scheme. The non-salaried workers wonder what tool will be used to determine how they need to contribute to the scheme. That has been pushed to 30th of June under the new scheme. Every Kenyan shall apply to the new health scheme by June 30th, while deductions shall commence on 1st of July. And now, some of the statistics is that salaried people shall remit pay of 2.75% of their gross pay to the scheme, contributing to be made monthly, while self-income earners shall pay an annual contribution capped at 2.75%. How about any person above 25 years will be able to pay the scheme regardless of if they are income earners or not? That is what we have here. So, yeah, this has faced a lot of, some court battles, but now here we are now.
That is insane. That is insane. How do you expect a person who does not have an income to pay?
Yeah.
How do they pay? Yet they don't have money. They are not earning. They are struggling to survive. So I think we are not practical when putting some laws into place as a government.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's head over and see what's happening on the front page of the Daily Nation. On the Daily Nation, this is what you have. Budget graft. This is it. Budget graft on the front page of the Daily Nation. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta said the government loses 2 billion shillings daily to theft. And now on the front page, the scandal is that the country already living beyond its means. Watchdog reports have continued to lay bare wanton wastage of brazen looting over the years, as unscrupulous officials colluded to inflate national and county budgets with monies earmarked to be stolen, enriching a few elite and burdening a majority of Kenyans with punitive taxes. This is what you have here. You can take a look at what's on the highlight of this particular headline. 3.35 billion shillings in terms of amount paid to non-existent staffers in counties between 2013 and 2022. 35 billion shillings. What about 5.7 billion shillings? Billions lost annually goes to workers by the national government, and 1.4 billion shillings amount paid in commitment fees on undrawn government loans. And lastly, 1.5 billion shillings amount by which salaried of state officers paid through the consolidated fund services were inflated. This is what you have. Budgeted graft.
Budgeted graft. I remember when the president was taking the oath of office, he said that immediately he puts the Bible down, all the cartels shall be gone. But we are talking of a budgeted graft. When we are looking at a period in time when we are, as a nation, going to make the budget for the incoming financial year.
Yeah.
And those are the same people who are budgeting this graft. They are inflating the costs of goods. They are inflating the costs of services that are going to be offered by the government in a bid to fatten their stomachs. And that is very, very saddening. You put together those figures, you realize that 35 billion, 5.7 billion, 1.4 billion, if you put them together, you add them together, you will realize that we can even do our roads properly. We can, we don't need to cut the education budget. We need to invest that money somewhere else. So I think, in my own opinion, the president needs to look at these issues because they are going to form the downfall of his legacy as a statesman.
Perfect. Succession, Raila allies condition for Kalonzo Musyoka ahead of 2027. Some politicians allied to opposition chief Raila Odinga have issued Wiper boss Kalonzo Musyoka with a fresh mandate and fresh demands rather, should he wish to earn their support for his 2027 presidential bid. Among them, a demand for him to start campaigning and participating in street protests, which have sparked outrage across the eastern region counties of Kitui, Machakos, and Makueni, where Mr. Musyoka commands unwavering loyalty. Yes. Okay, that is it. I don't know how it's going to pan out. Okay, Museveni hosts Ruto and Raila. Of course, we've been seeing that coming across from social media. We'll be taking a look at that pretty fine. They look so happy in his Kisozi rural home. That is what's happening. We'll be taking a look at that and much more when we come back after this break. Please stay with us. Don't go away.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out. Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevatishwa.
Sile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
你到底想要我感觉到什么？我就一棵树嘛，见你最不缺的就是树，比这年龄大呀，多的是。
更深层的东西。我准备给中央写信，反映他们这种不好的现象。
我没告诉他，其实能进入北部林场已经很幸运了。
What message are you going to give my sister?
Mr. Marcello wanted me to give her his message.
Yes, I heard that. What I want to know is what he said.
I already explained it to you. It was an accident. The lady started to yell and I wanted to quiet her down. I just don't know how it came to that.
Just tell me, are you absolutely sure that she's... What happened to you? Trini, why don't you answer me? Trini, come on.
You don't need to come back.
All right, welcome back. Now, the question and the story that is making headlines so far is this that has been here. The president, this is on the President William Ruto's X handle or Twitter handle. He was there yesterday at Kisozi, Kenya and Uganda. He said, according to the caption, is that Kenya and Uganda are committed in deepening of the long-established diplomatic and economic ties between our two countries. This relationship includes bringing all the East African community nations closer in their ultimate goal to form the East African Political Federation. This is what you have here. And the president was actually the Banyankole cows for President Museveni, and there is also with the position that is ODM leader and Azimio principal, that's Raila Odinga, this Museveni here, President William Ruto and Raila Odinga in the middle. It continues therein. I think that's the end of it. That was posted there. You can take a look at that photo. And this left many Kenyans talking in as far as the quest for the AU chairperson post is concerned. And that is it, the three gentlemen. So that brings a clear picture of really who they were. But there is a coincidence. Can you spot a coincidence in this photo? What can you see?
I can.
How can you describe this photo?
I can see two gentlemen who are in blue, and one who is having a very big shirt. And all of them are holding the
herding stick.
The herding stick.
Right.
And that is a thought that, and they're all trying to discuss something, and they're trying to put in together their minds trying to strategize on there's a topic that they are all having in mind.
Yes.
Yes.
I can also talk of something. The two, that's President William Ruto and ODM Raila Odinga, are in all counter suits.
Yes.
All of them are holding the
But looking at President Ruto from this side, you won't say that it's a counter suit, not unless you turn the picture. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
From this photo, all of them again are holding the walking stick.
Yes.
Right hands.
Yes.
Most probably. Right.
Yes.
So.
And the candidate.
And the candidate is in the middle. In the
candidate is the middle.
So what does really show? I mean, if you look at Museveni with his signature hat and all that, there must be a lot of discussion happening here, and we all know what's really happening. This is on President William Ruto's page. How about we head over on to Raila Odinga's page? This is what was on his Facebook page. He posted this yesterday, and it continues to say that, let me just put this. The caption says that several days ago, I accepted an invitation from President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda for a joint meeting with President William Ruto today to discuss the deepening of regional integration within East Africa and the East African community. Crucially, at the urging of President Museveni, we also discussed my candidacy for chairperson of the African Union Commission. I am very grateful to President Museveni for strongly endorsing my candidacy and to President Ruto for fully backing it. We took time out of our busy engagement to visit President Museveni's Wanderers Cattle Farm in Kisozi. This is where the gentlemen were. And again, the gentleman is in the middle, the candidate in the middle, President William Ruto, far right, and Museveni.
And you know, this takes us off from the normal meetings that presidents normally have in State House. And you can see how these gentlemen have brought this into a fitting environment.
Yes.
Fitting environment where there are no cameras looking at them. They are free to walk, talk, express themselves.
Yes.
And I think that is good statesmanship.
This is good statesmanship.
Yes.
Let's just take a look at some of the photos for the benefit of those who are not able to see that. We have Raila Odinga there. And again, the two gentlemen, perhaps they are now working for that official meeting with President Kaguta Museveni. Listening pensively, that is President William Ruto and Raila Odinga there. Again, continuing now the three gentlemen as they walk towards the farm. And finally, yes, that is it. So according to Raila Odinga, he was also seen over the weekend in Namibia during the president, that is Hague Geingob, who passed on and there. This has raised a lot of discussion on social media of the past couple of hours when it surfaced. But most importantly, how do you see how is it going to change the entire narrative in as far as the East African community integration is concerned? When you have got three gentlemen coming together, how do you see it panning out?
I think it's a good start, because the gesture that this gentleman, the sign that they have sent out is that we need to be united, not only as countries, but as a region. And I think the rest of the states should be following suit.
Yeah.
We should be inviting South Sudan, we should be inviting Rwanda, Burundi to be on the table so that we can have a strong, united East African region. Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is what it is, and we'll continue to see a lot of discussion as far as this is concerned. But does this really stop this gentleman from having, domestic affairs and left, right, and center in as far as politics is concerned? Yes, this is a continental matter, but does this really stop them from having, domestic affairs, the brotherly rivalry?
Every state, we normally say in law that it is sovereign, and it stands to do the things that they so wish to do in their states according to their own constitutions. And as such, then it means that every state will differ from the other based on the ideas that they both share. So that rivalry will always be there, but how I wish that it could be positive, because we need to compete in terms of economic affairs, how can we strengthen our democracies within our individual states, how can we look at bringing services, technology, embracing technology in our member states, so that those things can be of benefit to the individual citizens of the specific member countries.
Okay.
Yes.
Adres Mundalo joining us on set. You're stuck on Thika Road. Are you the one who was causing that traffic on Thika Road? Tumekupata leo, bro. This is no. This is where we are. Where's Thika Road? We on Cherry.
Yes.
We got him, right?
Yes, we got him.
We got you. So you're the one who was causing all this.
Somewhere in Pangani.
Somewhere in Pangani here. Are you the one who was causing?
Yeah.
Or you didn't have an outrider today?
No, I didn't have outriders because we stopped being the ruling party.
Okay.
Somehow.
So what happened? What changed?
No, I think cars just did what sometimes they choose to do. They choose to just stop and remind you that they need a bit of attention.
How does it feel?
Very bad.
No longer with an outrider.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's the nature of our governance. That's why we are a democracy.
Yes.
That some will, like even today, in 5 years' time, another time, again this season will pass. We'll have other people.
Yes.
That's the beauty of democracy.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Adres Mundalo, it's been a while. I mean,
it's been a while.
A lot of things have been happening across the country, and
Sure.
you have to come with a bag full of goodies. You will share with us.
I'm not sure that I have a bag full of goodies. I think you should be having the bag full of goodies.
I don't think so.
Because you have still remained in government.
You did throw that back to me. You did just throw that back to me. We were just taking a look at what we have on the front pages. Of course,
Yes.
we are done with that. And again, I'll give you a benefit of 1 minute each. The drug disaster, this is according to the government issue here, the issue of drug menace in the country. Let's talk about this. What do you make of this pretty fast before we continue?
I think the drug issue is a reality that we have to face, and somebody has to fix this problem. Because especially as a generation of young people, you look at it and you realize we have a huge chunk of us today that are not productive just because of these drugs. And so on that one, I applaud the efforts of the Deputy President, because I have been to the central part of Kenya severally on meetings where the Deputy President has been there. And the clarion call on drugs has really, he has insisted on it, he has kept at it, even despite having a lot of back and forth, he has insisted that this is something that has to be solved. And I agree that without that, then we might not be having the next generation, because you know the effects of drugs. Most of us become unproductive and so forth and so forth. So I agree that it's a reality and we have to deal with it, but even as we deal with it, we must somebody must always pay, somebody must be taken to account. Let us not always just fight and stop it there. There are people who are peddling these drugs. We have people who are selling these drugs to the young people. And of course, we must also not run away from the reality that the issues of unemployment are sending young people into depression, and the only place they are finding solace is also the drugs. So even as we do that, we must also try and solve the problems that are bequeathing this generation. Because you see, we are a generation that we're told when we go to school and we become disciplined, we will find good jobs and our lives will be okay.
Absolutely.
The moment that does not become a reality, then it's highly likely that we start sinking into drugs.
Very good. On the front page of the Daily Nation here, this budgeted graft, we just talked about it a while ago. This is as part of the budgeted graft. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta said that the government loses 2 billion shillings daily due to graft. And now, according to the Daily Nation, this is budgeted graft, quote unquote, according to me. So money is lost, and some of them are not accounted for, which means they're deliberately put in some corner somewhere for them to be used, much as they're not budgeted for. On the front page, what do you make of this?
I have not really interacted with that story, so I don't know
It says that with the country living beyond its means, watchdog reports have continued to lay bare wanton wastage of brazen looting over the years, as unscrupulous officials collude with to inflate national and county budgets with monies earmarked to be stolen, enriching a few elite and burdening a majority of Kenyans with punitive taxes.
That is true, and it has happened over time and over governments, that we have people who just, we have chunks of money that are put in specific places that is not not very beneficial, but it's just supposed to go to people's pockets. I think I would look at the positive side of the story. The positive side of the story, it's now that is something we are having a conversation over, because that is the first thing we need to do to start solving a problem, because it has been happening and no one has been talking about it. The moment it starts making it to the headlines like this, then we start knowing, like I can be able to see the specific amounts there. So we can now be able to have a follow trail and see this was in the papers, and therefore what has been done about it.
Yeah.
Because somebody, again I go back to what I said on the drug issue, somebody has to be put to account. Because we cannot be in a situation where we just say there is corruption. We are getting to a point where we are almost accepting that it's okay for us to be corrupt. We just want us not to be very corrupt. We are almost getting to that point. So it's important that somebody is put to account. Somebody has to answer. If we are finding those budgets and those budget time, because these budgets go through very many stages, including the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, including the Budget Committee. So somebody somewhere must be able to put to account. That is the only way we avoid this in future.
All right. So gentlemen, as for this and what's happening here, we can say that the campaign is on. And of course, as per the story, Musalia Mudavadi, that's on the front page of the Star. Probably, Oncheri, if you can just take a look at what's on the front page of the Star. Just read it out loud, kindly.
Key Raila allies to land state jobs in Ruto deal. And then we have Raila's road to AU.
Yes.
Yes. The plan is that he will be nominated by President William Ruto. And then Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi will lead the campaign.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you have Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi leading the campaign, so can you say it's a done deal? Oncheri, now that you've taken the headline, can you say it's a done deal?
I can't really say that it's a done deal, because you need to get the heads of state to endorse him. And remember, the manner in which these elections are conducted is, first of all, by consensus. And then you have to be, the candidate has to be nominated by the member states. So we are heading in the right direction. When you bring in Musalia Mudavadi, who is equally, sometimes back he was even a presidential candidate, he has the muscle to go out in Africa and bring back the vote to Raila. So as at now, I can't really tell you that it's a done deal up until it's done.
Up until it's done.
Yes.
But when you have the likes of Museveni now in the box, and of course, Raila Odinga said that Museveni actually agreed to support his candidacy as far as this is concerned. This is what Raila Odinga said, that I am very grateful for President Museveni for strongly endorsing my candidacy. This was one of his worries. But now he's confirmed that Mzee amekubali maneno. Advice.
I think that is very positive.
Yes.
Though it would be more positive coming from Museveni himself as well, from a political perspective. But when you just look at those photos, you know, there is when you visit somebody and they give you a cup of tea in their sitting room, it is normal. But when they start taking you to inspect their kettle, then it means the relationship has gotten to a deeper level. So I think this actually shows how our relationship with Uganda generally is. I think we have gotten to quite a deeper level. And one of the biggest worries that we must have as we try to push Raila Odinga to this position is that we near need the entire backing of East Africa. Because even when you listened to former President Obasanjo, when he came and he was during that presser, he said it will be very important for East Africa to speak as one voice. Because this is a race we go into as regions. It is important, and it has never happened that East Africa has taken that position. So it will not be advantageous for us to go into the race with a divided East Africa. So Raila Odinga needs the entire East Africa together for us to move forward. And so I think what he's doing on the campaign trail is worth, and it's good enough. And as even the headlines continue reading that, you know, this is another way of a handshake. And you have to give it to us at Jubilee that we were able to see this early enough, that at some point everyone all of us must help government deliver. And we were the first ones to say there exists a government and there exists a president. At that time, we were really bashed and were told, no, there is no president, there is no government. I'm happy today, all of us are now reading from the same script, that there is a government, there is a president, and for instance, the candidature of Raila for the African Union Commission, it is a candidature of governments. It's not a candidature of individuals. So we can be able to see that the government of President William Ruto is delivering Raila Odinga as a candidate for Kenya. And that is how mature our democracy needs to be. So we are heading in the right path as a country, that we can actually have elections, finish with the elections, and move on as a country without sticking to the political quagmire that always holds us back and always tears our economy apart.
Onchori must be asking, Jubilee, advise kindly, advise us. Yes. For clarification purposes, Jubilee, we have wrangles. We all know there is a problem.
Sure.
Is it the Kanini Kega Sabina Chege faction? Is it the Kioni faction?
You see, yes, Jubilee, we have a bit of issues and they are court cases.
Yes.
But it doesn't need rocket science to understand that the entire Jubilee is on one side. We only have one person who is on the other side. So we only have Honorable Kioni, who is on the other side alone. The entire neck of Jubilee, the members of parliament, all our MCAs, we have been constant in giving this, in putting up our mind and saying that, you know what, we did not win election, but we must be able to cooperate with government.
So which is the legitimate Jubilee you're talking about here?
Of course, the Jubilee that has the numbers, because politics is about numbers.
Which is?
With
a face on it.
With a face on it, that is the Jubilee that is led right now by the acting party leader, Honorable Sabina Chege.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chiri, are you answered?
I cannot even talk on the issues which is happening on the house of my neighbor.
Yes.
Because we in ODM are very serious in grassroots mobilization. We want people to register as voters, as members.
Yes.
So that when we go to elect our leaders in the grassroots, we have numbers. And that is the main focus.
And congratulations to them. They now have the acting chair of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy from yesterday. The current acting chair for CMD is actually Honorable Siengo from ODM, taking over from Jubilee. So, and that is the kind of democracy.
When your neighbor's house is on fire, this is now siblings rivalry. When your neighbor's house is on fire, please just go and check what's happening.
we will bring water.
We will bring water. All right.
Cool
now, let's come back home and talk about this.
Yes.
Raila Odinga really needed this one, but he cannot go it all alone.
Yes.
We have got Museveni and we have got President William Ruto here. You must get a nomination from your host nation.
Yes.
All right. Without this, then even Museveni would be relevant.
Yeah.
Yes, Oncheri.
Yes, as I was saying, you must get nomination from your state, and then you must be endorsed. And as you see from the headlines, additional factors is that there is to be considered regional representation.
Please just take that for the sake of viewers.
Yes, there is to be taken into consideration regional representation. And so as a region, as the East African region, it is important to bring these men together. I'd like to see a fourth person, a fifth person, perhaps President Paul Kagame, Salva Kiir, yes, of South Sudan,
Suluhu,
Samia of Tanzania, in that picture, speaking as one region, so that we are able to see the progress that we'll be making. And then we invite our counterparts from the south, from the north, from the east and the central to come and join us. From there, we'll be home.
Do we have an option as East Africa, generally? Let me start with you. Do you have an option?
I have not basically seen any. At this juncture, there is no even. I've not even heard of
anybody else declaring his
candidature. So this should be a unifying factor for all of us, not only in Kenya or in East Africa, but in the entire continent. That we agree as a continent, we speak one voice, and that is what President William Ruto has been preaching. That we as a continent, we can speak one voice and tell the West that we are Africa and anything in Africa is our business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Advice?
Yes, there is possibility of, because I agree that I haven't seen anyone come out, but remember we have a whole year to do this, because this election happens next year. I think the biggest support I would want to also see is coming from Rwanda, from President Paul Kagame. The reason is because, as currently constituted, the African Union Commission's vice chair is actually from Rwanda. And I think that is the highest East Africa has ever gotten. So we would, that vice chair, we are yet to see whether she would be contesting for the chairmanship or not. And that's why it's so critical, the support of Rwanda, because that will therefore mean that we are consolidated then as East Africa. Because I was happy that the rumors that were coming up about former President Kikwete, he was able to clarify and say he is not running. And that was good enough. So consolidating this as East Africa is the first hurdle we need to skip. Then the second thing is to be able to consolidate ourselves as even the British colonies in Africa, so that we are able to come together. Because we must also be cognizant of the reality that the Pan-African agenda largely in Africa has rarely been an East African conversation. East Africa has most of the time stayed away from the Pan-African agenda. For the very first time, I think President Ruto has come very high compared to any other former president
push that button
on pushing the Pan-African agenda. The Pan-African agenda has always been looked at more or less like a West Africa ideology. We have rarely even had Pan-African conferences happening in East Africa. I think that for the first time we'll be having one in Kenya in July at the Kenya School of Government. So the Pan-African agenda has not really been an East African agenda, and therefore our campaign must be about 10 times more than the West Africans, because they already are consolidated in some way. They already speak from one voice in some way. But then we give it to the experience of Raila Odinga, and we also give it to the fact that he has been able to be here for a while. He has interacted with most of the leaders who are there, and therefore they would be able also to judge him from what he can offer more than just being another East African. So I think that will also be able to speak it out. I also like the choice of President Ruto in Honorable Mudavadi being the one to do the shuttle diplomacy, for the reason that, one, he is solid and he is seasoned. He's a name you will go to a government out here and they would easily interact with. You know, again, your name and credibility is very important, because when you take a political novice, you might be very big in Kenya but very small in Africa. So we need somebody who can be big in Kenya and recognizable in Africa. And I think in the government of President Ruto, I think no one does it better than
the reason why I ask whether East Africa we have an option is because that when you look at the other regions, they've had an opportunity. Musa Faki is getting out. Now, East Africa, we've not had that opportunity. So when you go to other regional blocks, they've had a fair share, or let me just say a taste of it. But East Africa, no. President Uhuru Kenyatta almost declared his candidacy, but as politics would be, it's like going to war. The first person to fire that shot is more likely to hit the target. But we have no option. All other regions do not have an option but to give East Africa this one.
That is true. That is true. And I like the fact that President Uhuru Kenyatta realized that he is now, let me say, time bad, because Raila has declared it. And Obasanjo has come to basically tell Raila that you should run. I like the fact that there is some form of humility and unity in President Uhuru Kenyatta to just look at it and support his brother. And that is what we need to see as a country going forward.
I'm looking at a situation where when you saw Obasanjo in the country, and that press conference did not happen somewhere official. It was at Raila Odinga's residence. What does that really show you? And now again, this is happening at Kisozi in his residence.
Yes, and that's why I said that these things have, the relationships that have been built by this gentleman, this statesman, it has gone to a deeper level whereby you don't just need to come to State House. I need to welcome you to my house.
Some under mango tree somewhere.
Yes, so that we can even breathe the fresh air from the trees. So that we can be free to speak and iron out any issues that are affecting us or may hinder us from reaching or getting the ultimate goal. So for Obasanjo to come from Nigeria and straight to Raila's residence is speaks a lot of volumes.
Do you think former president was how? Let me put it, kwa lugha ya street, alichezewa rough? Because it was also meant to declare his candidacy.
I think it's a political process.
A difference of a day or two or something?
Yes, yes. It is a political process, and we must give it to him that Raila Odinga has been our political genius in this country for a while. I think the only place where that ability of being genius keeps running away is when it comes to the last stab at the presidency. I think that is the only place. Otherwise, in all other matters, we have seen Raila Odinga be the political genius that we know. And so it's also true that it might have just been a political strategy, which again is okay, because in a political process, you must be able to make political decisions.
Yeah.
So it's highly likely that also it's Raila Odinga knew very well that former president would be able to declare, and so the one who pulls the trigger first is the one who has the shot. So politically, he did it was a genius move.
Yeah.
And Raila has always been able to do this, because you can be able to see that kind of meeting that is even happening on those photos. It's not an ordinary meeting.
It's not an ordinary
It's not an ordinary meeting. I think he's trying to portray to the other contenders and even the other presidents that as East Africa, we are speaking from one voice as neighbors, as brothers, as sisters, not as state. You know, there's a way you can make it so official. Yeah, if you go to State House and you have those, those kind of very official meetings where people have, that would also be able to suffice. But you see, when you do it this way, you are showing the others that, you know what, as East Africa, we are a solid block, and we are neighbors, we are brothers, we are sisters. And we are actually asking you guys to support us have this, because we are together. Yeah, I think it speaks more than if you did it from a very official perspective. Me having tea with you in Java shows that we are good friends. But me having tea with you at your home makes us brothers.
Karibu nyumbani bana. Kuja to kule lunch.
Exactly, and I think that was...
He's always proud of his animals. I mean, you look at him, you can see. Who else? True, we don't have this one. I mean, he's proud of this. But then, what do you think East Africa is going to bring on board? Because we've not had this position before, again. If anything, 1 year down the line, Raila Odinga declared as the winner and is going to chair that for 4 years. So what is he going to bring on the table? Another peculiar statement. What is the another question that is going to bring to East Africa, if not continentally? Onchori.
Yes, the position itself is prestigious. And it brings with it a lot of respect, not only for the individual person, but for the state. And out of the many things that will be fronted, perhaps to the West, to be considered, that respect that has for some time been missing from the West will be key. And Kenya will be seen as the champion and the forerunner of such kind of a respect. And that is one thing. With it comes the grants to do with the developments within the continent, and that's a good thing moving forward as a continent, because when the statesman in the person of Raila will be going forward to try to convince or lobby for funds to come to Africa, I think Kenya will be considered as one of the beneficiaries when it comes to such grants and loans. And there are so many other things that the position brings with it. It's prestigious. Yes.
Okay. I want us to take a look at this photo. Take a look at this photo. How would you analyze this? Advice. How would you analyze this photo?
My analysis of that photo is of brothers who have come a long way. My analysis is of a father and a son. My analysis is of that of contenders who once together sought the ticket of ODM for presidency of this country. That is in, is it 2007?
Yes.
Yes. My analysis is of one person who knows that the other was able to be taken to the ICC on his head. Yeah? And so these are people who know each other from way back. These are brothers who understand each other from way back. So finally, they have a point of convergence. They have a point where they can be able to really synergize and work together. And you can be able to even see from that body language, everyone looks very comfortable. Everyone looks very comfortable in their skin. And even their dress code almost goes similar. You can
that's what I asked Konsheri. All of them are in Kaunda suits.
You can almost see that Raila Odinga has donned the traditional Kaunda suit that is now characteristic of President William Ruto. That would be how I
has had this for quite some time.
How I look at it.
Yes.
Of course, whichever way, the choice to wear it on that particular day also speaks a lot.
Coincidentally,
it's. I know you might want to make it coincidental, but those of us in politics say politics doesn't have coincidences. In politics, everything is meant to be the way it is. And I would also just want to also answer the question that you asked about what comes to the table.
Yes.
And in my view, it is more about what Raila brings to the table. And to me, Raila brings three things. One, Raila is seasoned in elections in Kenya. And as Africa, we have quite an election debacle that we keep dealing with.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the best arbiters, therefore, to be able to just canvass this whole story.
Right.
Because he understands matters elections. He has been in and out of these elections, I think, 5 times now. He has the experience of winning, losing, supposedly being stolen, and all that.
Okay.
So he has that experience. Number 2, remember, Raila has chaired the AU Infrastructure Commission, and we have a big infrastructure problem in Africa. So I think he brings that to the table with quite an understanding. And number 3, and lastly, I think Raila brings the aspect of the young people on this table, because African Union has not been very loud on the problem of the young people in Africa. I think he does bring this because when Raila was Prime Minister, it is the reason why we had National Youth Council in Kenya. He is actually the one who brought the National Youth Council that serves up to today. I would want to see him bring that synonym to African level.
Gentlemen, allow me to stop at that particular point. But there is something I want to tell you. When you see these two gentlemen here, the body language, walking together, they say beggar kwa beggar. Beggar kwa beggar. They've worked together before. Very well. He was a member of ODM. We all know that. During campaigns, we all know what happened. He was with Uhuru Kenyatta during campaigns, during the referendum. They've worked together. So they call each other brothers. Whatever you do, always remember brotherhood is what matters. Family first. Everything else is second. Thank you so much for watching. Advice Mondalo, National Youth Chair, Jubilee Party. He said that the legitimate Jubilee Party will discuss about some of the time. All right. Advocate of the High Court, I go Franco Chweri. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Asante sana. Short and sweet. My name is Victor. We are crossing over to Zinga. Rashid Momkondo is having that discussion, siasa za uchumi, with Senator, that is nominated Senator Tabitha Mutinda, as well as Evelyn Nyonteo, who is also mchanganuzi wa kisiasa na mambo za kiuchumi. Rashid, mambo kwako. All right, we are having that delay there with Rashid Momkondo. But once we have him, we'll cross over to Zinga and, of course, all right, Rashid.
Saa za Afrika ya Mashariki. Ni Jumanne nyingine tena tunapokutana kwenye kipindi unachokienzi, kipindi cha Zinga na Good Morning Kenya. Mtazamaji, ni kipindi ambacho ni ushirikiano kati ya Radio Taifa na KBC Channel 1. Ikiwa leo ni tarehe 27 mwezi Februari mwaka wa 2024, kwa takriban miaka miwili iliyopita Wakenya wamepitia changamoto chungu nzima za kiuchumi. Kenya wamepitia changamoto chungu nzima za kiuchumi. Mtazamaji, uchumi unapokuwa, maisha pia huimarika kwa njia moja au nyingine. Hata hivyo, siasa na sera husaidia kupanga mikakati ya uimarishaji wa uchumi. Swali ni je, siasa na sera za Kenya zimewekwa ili kuimarisha uchumi wa taifa letu? Serikali ya Kenya Kwanza kwa upande wake inasema imeweka wazi mifumo inayopanga kutekeleza ili kuhakikisha pato la taifa linakuwa kwa kasi. Hii ni pamoja na kupunguza gharama ya maisha kwa Wakenya. Swali ni je, hili linawezekana? Na je, sera na siasa zitaathiri vipi ukuaji wa uchumi wa taifa letu? Hii leo tuna bahati kuwa studioni na seneta mteule Mheshimiwa Tabitha Mutinda Mudene, na vile pia tuko naye Daktari Evelyn Nyoteyo Ogendo ambaye ni mchanganuzi wa masuala ya siasa na uchumi, tukiangazia swala la siasa na uchumi wa Kenya. Kumbuka hivi majuzi Rais Daktari William Ruto aliongoza maafisa wakuu wa serikali katika kikao kule Naivasha kutathmini mambo mbalimbali. Karibu mtazamaji. Mimi naitwa Rashid Momkondo, upande wa pili yupo mwenzangu Dora Manya, na upande mwingine kiko kikosi kizima cha Good Morning Kenya. Bila kupoteza nukta, sekunde wala dakika, kwanza ni wakaribishe wageni wangu ndani ya studio. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Senator Tabitha Mutinda ndani ya studio zetu.
Asante sana, nashukuru.
Na vile pia asante sana Daktari Evelyn Ogendo, karibu sana ndani ya studio zetu.
Nasema asante.
Alright, labda kabla tuingie moja kwa moja kwenye kipindi chetu, nikianza na Daktari Evelyn Ogendo. Kwa sasa mitandao ya kijamii imefurika picha ya Rais Daktari William Ruto, Rais wa Uganda Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, na kiongozi wa upinzani nchini Raila Odinga. Watu wanauliza kuna nini? Sijui kauli yako kuhusiana na mkutano ule ambao ulifanyika katika nyumba ya Rais Museveni kule Uganda, waizungumzia vipi?
Unajua sasa kisia yangu inaweza kuwa kama ya wengine pia. Unajua saa ile ni msimu wa mambo ya AU, hiyo chairmanship ya AU. Saa kwa mtazamo wangu, unajua lazima watu muwe na uwiano kunako jambo fulani ili wawekane pamoja kama viongozi wa Afrika ili wapate kuona watafanya vipi. Sababu kuna nafasi pale 2025, kuna wale wako na hisia ya kunyakua hicho kiti, Mheshimiwa Raila akiwa mmoja wao. Wenda wanasema pia mambo ya dola karudi chini kabisa. Sasa unajua lakini sasa kwa jambo lile la kijumla ni kusema walikuwa pale kuzungumzia mambo kwa uzuri wa Mkenya, si kwa ubaya wa Mkenya.
Asante Mheshimiwa Tabitha Mutinda. Kukutana kwa Rais William Ruto na kiongozi wa upinzani Raila Odinga, je, kuna ashiria mwisho wa upinzani kwa serikali ya rais?
Wacha nianze katika ile statement nimesikia ukisema serikali ya Kenya kwanza. Na niulize, kwani kuna serikali ngapi Kenya?
Kuna serikali mbili, ya kitaifa na zile za county.
Serikali ni moja ambayo iko imara, ni serikali ya taifa ya Kenya, inayoongozwa na sio mwingine ila Daktari Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Kwa hivyo ningeomba wanahabari waache kujaribu kugawanya serikali iliyopo nchi hii ambayo ni serikali moja timamu, serikali ya Kenya.
Lakini sijuzi tu naibu kinara wenu alisema kwamba bado tu swala la shareholders, tena umeturudisha kule.
Lakini lazima tuonyeshe ishara ya kwamba serikali ni moja na ni serikali ya Kenya. Hamna serikali ya Kenya kwanza na hamna serikali nyingine na nyingine na nyingine. Serikali ni moja.
Majimbo tutaiweka wapi?
Ishara ambayo
kuna majimbo, kuna serikali zingine huko kwa county.
Ni kweli kabisa.
Si kuna majimbo. Tuko rais wengine 47. Sipokuwa Rais Ruto. Tuko na rais wengine.
Katika katiba yetu ya Kenya tunayoshikilia tena tabibu, rais wa Kenya ni mmoja na ni Daktari William.
Kweli kabisa.
Now, swala la lile tumeona katika mtandao ni ishara njema ya uongozi wa Dr. William Ruto. Kiongozi ambaye anajali maslahi si wa Kenya peke yake, but anashirikiana pia na wenzake katika East African level, kuwezesha kuweka Kenya mbele. Wakati Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga anakuwa na ile focus ya kwenda kurepresent Kenya pale AU, sio Raila ana represent, ni Kenya inawakilishwa na rais ambaye ana upendo kwa Wakenya wote. Jambo alatafanya ataongoza kwa uongozi wake kuonyesha ishara ya kwamba tunashikana kama Wakenya, kuweka Kenya mbele, kuweka Kenya juu mahali ambapo inafaa. Na ningetaka kuona pia wale marais wengine, kwa sababu jambo la AU ni jambo la East Africa. Ningetaka kuona pia wale marais wengine kama rais wa Tanzania Suluhu, Mama Suluhu, ningetaka kumuona pia rais wa Rwanda, Rais Kagame, waje kwa pamoja na waweze kupatia Kenya ile support. Na ile imefanyika ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Daktari William ameonyesha hayo. Amekuwa ako kipaumbele, kwa sababu kama tuwezi anzia nyumbani, majirani wataanza vipi? Kwa hivyo ni ishara ya kwamba, ya kuonyesha ya kwamba sisi wote kwa pamoja, vile mimi nimekuwa nikisema sana ni kwamba sisi wote ni wa Kenya. At the end of the day, sisi wote ni wa Kenya. Lazima tuweke focus ya Kenya kwa manufaa ya wa Kenya sisi wote, kwa sababu pale patakuwa na manufaa mengi zaidi. Uchumi utaweza kuboreka. Tutakuwa na more investors. Juzi last week iliyopita, Kenya imeweza kusign with the UAE, that is Dubai government, ASEPA, ambayo itaweza kuleta more investors katika nchi hii, na hii imefanyika katika ministry zote za Ministry of Trade, na ni ishara ya kwamba tunazidi na tunaendelea mbele at both hiyo national na international levels. Yeah.
Okay. Na mtazamaji, alikuwa napata tu kwanza kauli fupi ya mkutano ambao kulingana na vinara ama kulingana na Rais Daktari William Ruto na vile vile pia kinara wa Azimio Raila Odinga, ule mkutano ulikuwa ni request ya Rais wa Uganda Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, na kama ulivyoona jana kwamba kulingana na Rais William Ruto ni kwamba kuna mambo mengi waliyazungumzia, ikiwemo swala la mafuta, lakini haswa vile vile pia wakazungumzia kuhusiana na ile nafasi ya Raila Odinga kuwania wenyekiti wa Muungano wa Afrika mapema mwakani. Lakini kwa sasa tujikite moja kwa moja kwenye swala letu, na ndani ya studio kama nilivyokuambia niko naye Mheshimiwa Tabitha Mutinda Munene ambaye ni senator maalum katika bunge la Seneti, na vile vile pia niko naye vile vile mchanganuzi wa masuala ya kisiasa na uongozi Daktari Evelyn Ogendo. Na moja kwa moja tukianza na daktari pale pembeni kushoto, hivi majuzi rais aliongoza maafisa wa serikali kule Naivasha katika retreat ambapo kulikuwa na viongozi wengi tu sana, na swala ambalo liliweza kuzungumziwa ni la uchumi. Nakumbuka waziri Profesa Njuguna Ndung'u akiashiria kwamba kuna ukuaji wa kiuchumi. Sijui swala hilo nilikubaliana nalo?
Mi kwa maoni yangu, mi mwenyewe tukiongea mambo ya uchumi, kwa maoni yangu sasa mimi ningekuwa rais wa Kenya, sasa mimi ningekuwa mimi ndio mteule rais wa Kenya, wangeangalia jinsi, unaona kama sasa hivi tunaambiwa dola inarudi chini. Sasa unaona hata mama mboga, unaona akisherekea dola inarudi chini. Hatujakuwa na hiyo vielelezo dola ikirudi chini inamaanisha vipi? Na wanapozungumza ile kizuizi peke yake imetatiza uchumi ni crude oil. Unaona cost of petroleum ndio iko juu sana. Sasa ikiwa juu, kwangu mimi unajua hao wenyewe wakiwa wamezungumzia mambo ya hiyo, unajua unaweza keti leo, sababu leo kesho unazungumzia jambo moja, lakini hujatengeneza exit yako ni gani? Kwa sababu sasa hivi uchumi yetu ya Kenya ni ile, kama ulikuwa na shilingi 10, hizi shilingi 10 ndizo hizo zimewekewa ile burden nyingi sana, lakini na kwa sababu hakuna balance, unasema hii sukari siku hizi tunanunua pesa hii, kila kitu imeenda juu, lakini hawajazungumza ya kwamba hawa wa Kenya wenye wamefinywa na uchumi wanafanya kazi wapi? Hawajaelekeza wale employees watafanya nini, kwa sababu kama ulikuwa unanipa shilingi 10 ama 20 kwa mwezi, itafanya vipi huyu Evelyn mmoja ili aweze kununua ile sukari yenye kienda juu? Sababu wanapeleka uchumi inaenda juu, mapato inabaki pale. Employers hawaguzwi, pia wamefinywa kivyao, lakini hii mfinyo inapokuja mfinyo ikwe pande zote. Na wanapoketi chini wakizungumza, wasizungumze tu ile wapate ile pesa yenye wanataka kulipa chenye wanalipa, lakini hawajajua ya kwamba, unaona kama room kama hii inaweza tosha tuseme watu 10 hii, lakini iwe ati room zingine zimekuwa busy pia. Sasa kila room itakuwa ina occupy 100 people. Unaona? Sasa unajua unafinya wale watu kule ndani lakini uja balance huku kwingine. Wanafaa kueleza Mkenya ndio uchumi inaweza enda juu kwa sababu moja au nyingine. Lakini sasa how will you cushion these people? Utakushon aje wa Kenya? Hakuna mtu amediscuss mambo ya Mkenya ule wa uchumi ya chini. Si mulisema ni bottom up, mulisema bottom up, si ndio? Ule Mkenya amefinyika. Unajua ile supermarket mimi ninaenda kununua sukari, ndio member parliament ataenda, ndio minister ataenda, ndio mama mboga ataenda, lakini unajua mapato ya mama mboga iko
chini.
Mapato ya mama mboga iko chini. Mapato ya mtu wa bodaboda iko chini. Ijazungumziwa ile mapato yake. Na unaona kama petroli inaenda juu, iko balanced. Unaona mtu wa bodaboda akikuitisha 50 bob zimezidi kwa zile umezoea, hautaki. Nani atatetea hao watu wa uchumi ya chini wenye uchumi imeenda juu na sasa hawawezi kujimudu na hawana mtu wa kuwatetea? Hiyo ndio mimi nauliza, nani atatetea huyo? Kwa sababu mimi mapato yangu iweze kuwa inafanana yao. Unaona? Mimi naweza enda tu nijifinye kidogo, nifinye hii nikanunua, lakini yeye yule atafanya nini? Kwa sababu matumishi yanapoenda juu, uchumi inapoenda juu, hujaelewa huyu mama mboga. Sasa hiyo mboga alikuwa anauza 20 bob, ukimwambia 20 bob uko busy kwa argue na yeye akuongezee, na yeye uchumi imemfinya. Sasa Mkenya hajapata wa chini, hajapata mtu wa SUA anamtetea na yeye. How will you replace the expensive life? How will you supplement for the poor people?
Shikilia hapo daktari. Mama umeanza kwa gea ya juu. Mheshimiwa Tabitha Mutinda, sijui kauli yako iko vipi kuhusiana na swala ile la uchumi kuimarika, alafu sijui unakubaliana na sentiments as a daktari hapa?
Washa nianzie kwa swala lako. I think nilikuwa makini sana ulipoanzia na mkutano wetu wa Naivasha wiki ambao uliopita. Na niseme ya kwamba unajua kuna chema kuwa na kiongozi ambaye anatimiza promises yake sana, kwa sababu unapata issue yetu sisi kama upande wa serikali wakati tunakongamana tunazungumzia yale manifesto ambayo tuliweza kukubaliana na kueleza wananchi wakati ule. Na ile leadership ambayo tuko nayo ni leadership ya kuweza kukaa na kuangalia tumefikia wapi, hatujafikia wapi, changamoto ni gani, tutafanya nini tuweze kuimarisha uchumi wa nchi hii. Na kongamano ambao tulikuwa nayo pale Naivasha ni kongamano ya kutuleta pamoja tuweze kuelewa changamoto tulizo nazo zinasababishwa na nini na suluhisho ni gani, kwa sababu nimesema mara mingi ya kwamba kiongozi ni yule ambaye anaweza kuidentify ya kwamba hii ndio shida, alafu tuweza kuweka sasa solution. Nimesikia dada yangu akisema issue ya mwananchi wa chini anaelewa vipi mahali tuko na mambo kama hayo. Swala ambalo ni more of ile tunaita public sensitization na more of public awareness. Tunaelekea vipi, mambo iko namna gani, mbona mambo inakuwa hivi na inakuwa hivi. Na nakubali mimi wakati tulichukua serikali, unapata ya kwamba tulipata madeni yakiwa mengi sana, na katika ile mambo na mipangilio ambayo tulikuwa tumeweka pale, ukapata kukakuwa tumekuwa na changamoto ama kukakuwa na changamoto. Cha muhimu ni kwamba hatukukataa kusema ya kwamba cost of living imeenda juu. Rais amekuwa na kamati yake ambao wanaitwa economic advisors, ambayo ni strategy mpya ambapo haijakuwa katika zile serikali zimepita, ambao uko na your economic advisors expertise ambao wanakaa na wewe status, wanaweza kuadvise mambo ya uchumi. Ukiangalia rais ameweza kufocus sana na issue ya other international investors, ili tuweze kufungua uchumi wa Kenya, kuwezesha investors waje kuja, na strategy moja ni ile tumefanya ile visa free, ndio tuweze kupata pia income kutokana na mambo ya utalii, na at the same time tuweze kupata pia more investors ambao wanaweza kuingia, more investment then more job creation. Last week uliona na wiki iliyopita mafuta iliweza kupungua na shilingi 1, na unajua cost na productivity ya any manufacturing inaongezwa sana na the cost of production ambayo inaletwa na hiyo cost of fuel, pia the cost of electricity na other importation cost. The more hizo costs ziko juu, pia ile final product ambayo wewe na mimi as the end user clientele inaenda pia kuwa pia juu, because hizo factors zote zina increase ile price. But as we speak, kumekuwa na hiyo 1 shilling reduction ya the fuel. As we speak, kumekuwa na hiyo strategy ya kureduce pia mambo ya electricity cost. Now, the biggest issue nikirudi hapa kwa issue ya dola. Na mwezi uliopita nakumbuka, kwa sababu mimi nakaa kama vice chair wa finance and budget. Na sasa hivi tunaendeleza mambo ya TDS na PBS as we speak. Last week tumekuwa na CS Treasury on maneno ya mipangilio. But the biggest impact imetokea kwa swala la deni la Eurobond. Kwa sababu tumeweza kuachieve ile payment ile inafaa kuwa by June. With that ile 1.5 billion euros. So hiyo imetuwezesha ukapata ya kwamba at least mambo ya Kenya shilling imeanza kuwa strengthen from the rate of where it has been. Na nikisema last month I was I think K24 if I'm not wrong. Na tulizungumzia tukiwa na tukijaribu ku make the challenge between also our colleagues from the opposition, ambapo waliuliza kweli itaweza kushuka, na we were so confident kwa sababu tunajua kwamba the biggest cost kwa serikali imekuwa ni the issue of the debt repayment. And pia without your debt kukua sustain, then hatuwezi pata more debt, hatuwezi weza kukopa because lazima usustain. Hata wewe wajue ya kwamba pale bank ukiweza kosa kulipa deni yako, bank haiwezi kukopesha tena, so lazima uweze kusustain. So hizi ndio zimekuwa the factors that zimeweza kucontribute ukapata that cost of dollar imekuwa juu. So of course cost of that product ikiingia hapa Kenya itakuwa juu. But the longest picture ndio mwananchi ule wa chini aweze kusikia ile burden imeweza kushuka. One, kumekuwa na form of employment, especially through the housing bill, whereby vijana wetu wanaweza kupata nafasi za kazi kwa the different government projects ambazo zinaendelea. Hiyo ni money pia inaendelea kuflow. Ukiangalia last financial year, because the Senate will normally support counties, and ile kiti ambayo nakalia ya Finance and Budget Committee tuliweza kuongeza 15 billion to the counties, na hiyo inawezesha unapata the more money.
Lakini bado county wanasema hazitoshi.
Ni kweli, tunakubaliana nazo hazitoshi. Na mimi nakubaliana nao, mimi kama mdogo wa mwenyekiti, na ndio sababu umeona nimeomba niweze kuondoka, kwa sababu nina mkutano ambazo unaendelea na ambazo ni very key, kwa sababu nikirudi kwa swala ya medium term debt repayment na budget policy, tuko na timeline, na kama Senate kulingana na sheria tuko na timeline. So kuna vitu lazima tuweze ku meet within that particular deadline. But yes, hazitoshi, kwa sababu ukiangalia the inflation rate ambayo pia ina affect businesses within the different counties. Kumekuwa na interest rate ambayo pia imekuwa juu, ina affect the running of businesses within the county. Na kumekuwa na issue ya CHVs. Sasa kuna portion ambayo is supposed to be paid by the county government. Hiyo ni additional cost to the county government. So kumekuwa na hizo cost ambazo zime increase, and in that then we are advocating for more funds. But sio lazima sasa zikuwe ni kama hazitoki popote. Ukiangalia kama kumekuwa na zile machines that they were leased, medical machines, that in this additional allocation ambayo tulikuwa tuna mediate la few weeks ago, tumeweza kusema hiyo pesa itoke, it's about 6.2 billion. Na hiyo pesa inaweza irudishwe katika zile pesa za county. Na kwa nini nasisitiza county? Kwa sababu serikali ya ugatuzi ambayo tuko nayo unapata within the 47 counties, the aim ilikuwa improve ule local mwananchi. Sio lazima uje Nairobi, sisi wote tungangania hapa Nairobi. Na unajua Nairobi pia shamba la mawe. Lakini pale katika mashinani, then wananchi wanaweza kupata na ile uchumi within the county inaweza kucirculate. With that circulation, then there's the flow money.
Shikilia hapo hapo Mheshimiwa Tabitha Mutinda, na kuna swala hapa nirudi kwako Daktari Evelyn ambalo linajitokeza. Sijui kwa nini mara nyingi sana uchumi ukiimarika viongozi huwa wanashindwa kuelezea kwa faida ya yule mtu wa chini imeimarika vipi. Mheshimiwa hapa amezungumzia kuhusiana na bei ya umeme kwenda chini na vile vile pia mafuta kupunguzwa kwa shilingi, lakini nirudi kwako daktari. Kwa miaka miwili sasa Wakenya wamekuwa wakipitia changamoto nyingi sana za kiuchumi. Kumekuwa na mfumuko wa bei, ama wazungu wakisema kwamba inflation ya hali ya juu. Labda ni siasa zimekuwa mbaya au ni sera na mipango mibovu?
Mimi nasema zote hizo umetaja. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa amesema mafuta imerudi chini shilingi moja. Tuongee hiyo tu. Imerudi chini shilingi moja. Na hizo miezi zingine za hapo awali imeenda juu shilingi 30. So ina maana gani? Umepeleka juu kwa 30 shillings. Kwa sababu sasa hivi lita moja ya mafuta ni 200 and siku hizi hata mtu ukienda kwa petroli hata utaki kuona bei, unataka kusema kama mimi leo nataka mafuta ya 1000. Sitaki kuangalia hata akiweka, hata unaweza danganywa. Utaki kuona akiweka. Wengine wa Kenya wengine wamekuwa very desperate. Anataka lita 5, anachukua kibuyu ya lita 5, anaweka gari kule mbele, anakuja na hii kibuyu yake, anamwambia niwekee lita 5. Ndio aona kama ameibiwa hata kidogo. Yaani ile level ya desperation Kenyans wako nayo. Sasa mseme mafuta ati merudi chini shilingi moja. Like seriously. Shilingi moja umepeleka juu 30 shillings. Asubuhi yake unaamka unasema ati imeenda chini shilingi moja. Inasaidia vipi Mkenya? Haisaidii hata chochote. Inamuongeza shida zake zile. Na alafu tukuja kusema uchumi tarudi chini, hii itafanyika. Unaona ni sisi tunasema. Unajua kuna ule mwenye hana hata runinga, hana runinga ya kutazama, hata haizituona tunazungumza kitu gani. Mbona Mkenya wa chini asipate fursa ya kuelezewa kama uchumi inarudi chini vipi na siku gani? Akisikia dola imeenda chini, hata wao wanasema dola imeenda chini, dola. Sasa wewe huko biashara ya kubadilisha madola, how does it affect? How does it affect that mama mboga down there? How does it affect mtu wa bodaboda? Sababu hao ndio watu wale wenye uchumi yao iko chini kidogo. Inamuaffect aje? Sisi wenye tumesoma angalau tuchukue fursa ya kueleza wale watu wako huko chini. We give them information. Dola ikienda chini inamaanisha nini? Na alafu mimi nikiangalia kitu ile ina affect, na ndio yenyewe inawekewa taxes. Mafuta ndio yenyewe inawekewa taxes. Sasa tunafaa kujua hivi, na serikali yetu tunaomba tulazimishi waangalie. Kwangu mimi ni mafuta inafaa kuangaliwa. Mafuta tu, sababu mafuta ikiangaliwa hata transport itakuwa cheap, cost of production itaenda chini.
Lakini mafuta ni swala la kimataifa, si swala la Kenya peke yake, sio?
Sasa unajua sisi tunaongea juu ya uchumi yetu. Sababu mimi siwezi ongea mambo inaendelea Zambia, inaendelea Tanzania. Sababu mimi siishi huko. Mimi naishi Kenya. Sababu sisi tatizo tuko nayo ni high cost of living. Kwangu mimi kwa kijumla ile inasababisha high cost of living, it's the high cost of petroleum. Hiyo ndio ina cost the high cost. Sasa serikali yetu inafaa kutueleza, kutuangazia kwa lugha tu simplicity. Lugha iko chini. Tusitumie complexity kwa kueleza mama mboga. Ni nini inachoendelea, mueleze tu kwa kinaga ubaga. Mafuta itafanyika nini? Mafuta irudi chini. Sababu mafuta ikirudi chini, kila kitu ni kama itarudi chini. Hata nyumba zile tunaishi zitarudi chini. Mboga itarudi chini. Na sasa wacha tuongee mambo hiyo ya levy, hiyo housing levy. Ati vijana wetu wameajiliwa. Vijana wetu tuko na 47 counties. Tuko na serikali ya majimbo. Kuna njia nyingine, kwa sababu hii housing levy Wakenya wengi wamelia. Hata mimi mwenyewe nimelia. Si kana kwamba hiyo ni jambo mbaya. Ni poor timing. Inaitwanga you prioritize what you want to do. You prioritize development. Kwa sababu sasa hivi mimi niomba loan. Watu wengi wameomba loan. Nimeomba loan tuseme ya 1,000,000 ama tuseme ya 500,000. Siwezi enda pale nilazimisha kulipa ile 500,000 the shortest time, na nikiamka asubuhi sinywi chai, sili chakula kwa sababu nataka kwanza kulipa ile loan. Una balance hii kidogo iende hapa, kidogo iende hapa, kidogo iende hapa, ndio pia wewe umudu maisha yako ya kila siku in a balanced way. Huwezi sema ati unaenda kuprioritize hii na hii. Sasa hiyo mambo ya housing levy, watu wengi wamelalamika sana, mimi nikiwa mmoja wao. Si jambo mbaya, ni jambo nzuri ya kuleta kazi kwa vijana wetu wa Kenya.
Daktari, shikilia hapo hapo, najaribu kuwapimia muda wenu kila mtu sawa, lakini utaendelea hiyo nukta, lakini dakika zako naona zimekwisha. Wacha nimpatie Mheshimiwa Tabitha naye nafasi.
Unajua nasikiza Dr. Evelyn na nashangaa wakati anasema kuna Wakenya ambao hawana runinga, ila KBC tukiongozwa na wewe Bwana Rashid, umetupatia fursa ya Wakenya kusikiza katika redio na kusikiza katika runinga. Wale ambao wako na redio, wako na runinga, wataweza kusikia. Jambo la pili ambayo nasikia akizungumzia akisema ya kwamba hii issue ya dola inasaidia mwananchi wa chini namna gani na mambo kama hayo. Ni sisi umetupa nafasi asubuhi Rashid tuweze kuwaeleza Wakenya kwa lugha ambayo inayofaa. Na nafurahi kwa sababu unatumia lugha ya taifa ambayo ni lugha ya Swahili. Na nipe mfano rahisi, mfano wa bottom up, mfano wa motorbike ambao tunaita kwa sheng nduthi. Mtu wa nduthi anafaidika aje wakati dola inaenda chini? Wakati dola inaenda chini, ile importation ya ile nduthi, kwa sababu hapa Kenya huwa hatu manufacture nduthi, huwa hatu manufacture motorbikes. Wakati ile dola imeenda chini, pia ile cost ya ile motorbike kama ilikuwa inauzwa final price 1,100, probably itakuwa 95,000, ama kama ilikuwa 90 itakuwa 80 kwa mfano. Then yule mwana bodaboda akiweza kukopa ile bodaboda achukue, utapata ile cost yake haitakuwa juu, kwa sababu sasa ile mashine yake ambayo ni ile sasa bike ndio asset yake itakuwa imeweza. Hiyo ni mfano moja kwa many other examples naweza peana. Nikirudi kwa mambo ya mafuta, ukikumbuka ya kwamba mimi nakumbuka vizuri nikipanga line kuweza kuwekewa mafuta hapo ndio tumepata serikali, tukichukua serikali ndio tumepata mambo ikiwa tulikuwa tunaweza kupanga a line wale ambao tumefanikiwa na kuendesha magari. At the same time, hii bei ni kweli ilipanda. Haikupanda na siku moja, ilipanda factors. One of the external factors ni ile vita imekuwa kule nje. Kwa sababu sisi Kenya, we are not oil producers. We are not. Tunategemea nchi za nje. Kwa hivyo pia zile zikiwa affected, ni kama issue ya COVID wakati ilikuja. Ilikuwa unexpected circumstances. Na ilipokuja ilipata nchi, the whole world. Na tukakimbia huku na huku. Na ndio unaona leo hata katika historia, tukiongelea jambo ya budget, hata leo tukianalyze budget, unapata tunaangalia factors zile zilikuwa 2019 2020 COVID issues, and zilikuwa 2019 2020 COVID issues, and zili affect sana. So there are those circumstances that are exceptional, they are not expected, they are special circumstances that natokea. Na unapata issue ya fuel pia imekuwa affected by that, because we depend on other countries for that. Na ile bei imeenda ikipanda bit by bit. So how do you expect pia ishuke drastically? Lazima itachukua step by step. What is important, we need to encourage ourselves as Kenyans. We need to encourage pia sisi wote kwa ujumla, kwa sababu nakubaliana na kusema ya kwamba hakuna unga bei ambayo iko Nairobi ya mwana Nairobi tofauti na yule mtu ambaye anaishi Kisumu. Unapata ya kwamba sababu mimi ni mwana Kisumu, bei ya unga ni shilingi 50, na kwa sababu mimi naishi Kanairo, bei ya unga ni 200. Hamna, unapata ina affect across so much. And on that you realize pia bei ya unga si imeshuka, imeenda chini. Bei ya unga, our staple food mostly 90% ni ugali. Niambie boma ya Kenya ambayo kwa wiki ambaye haiandai ile staple food, kwa sababu ndio the commodity ambayo tunatumia sana, na ndio price yake pia we've been talking about it. Tunapata ya kwamba mahali tukiingia kwa serikali tulipata ikiwa 250. Sasa as we speak it's about 100 and something. Is it not impacting huyo mwananchi wa chini? It is, because hiyo ndio commodity ambayo tunaitumia sana. Ukiangalia swala la agriculture, ukijua agriculture is most our strongest economic, the subsidy, the fertilizer. Tulipoingia 7,500 fertilizer, tukangangana ikakuja around 4-5. Sasa it's retailing at 2,500 fertilizer subsidy. Farmers have spoken, and we thank God for the rains that tumekuwa nazo. Ya kwamba with that it may reduce that cost of productivity. So we have maximized our profits, and we are looking forward to seeing much more productivity. The maize product and many others like the tea, the coffee that we are having, because to may reduce the cost of fertilizer. So ukiangalia, we don't expect economy as a student of business. There is no point that you wake up. The economy is not like politics, that you wake up and the narrative has changed. That you wake up and Braila and Dr. William Ruto are together today in one photo in this country. And that is what we want to see. We are tired of talking about discussions of going to the streets. People putting sufurias on their head. The other week when we got back into parliament, immediately we were discussing what we call the NADCO report. The NADCO report came as a result ya kwamba wananchi wameenda wakaekelea sufuria kwa kichwa wakisema kuna hii, kuna mambo haya. Suluhisho iko wapi? Suluhisho, one of the reasons sisi tumechaguliwa ama sisi tuko pale katika bunge, our role ya kwanza ni kufanya ile kitu tunaita representation, kuwakilisha mwananchi, kuwakilisha kwa mambo ambayo yapo apart from the legislation na ile nyingine ya oversight. Katika hiyo kuwakilisha ndio tunasema kujeni tukae chini tuweze kujua shida ipo wapi na tutaweka solution gani. Na nikisema tumekuwa tukidiscuss NADCO report, one of the discussions among mambo ya IBC, among mambo ya opposition leader na many others, hizi ndio zimeleta uwiano na amani katika nchi yetu, because at the end of the day we are all Kenyans. At the end of the day we need to appreciate that this has been okay, this needs to be worked on, and hizi ndio tutaweza kuachieve results, matokeo ya pale kesho.
Asante mheshimiwa. Nirudi kwako Daktari Evelyn, ukimalizia ile nukta yako ambayo ulikuwa umebakisha, alafu nataka ili swala muweze kulijibu vile vile pia kabla kumweza kumwachilia mheshimiwa kuweza kwenda kwenye vikao. Kumekuwa na mvurugano kati ya serikali kuu na idara ya mahakama kuhusu kupitishwa kwa baadhi ya sheria mbalimbali, upande wa executive ukisema kwamba kidogo judiciary ina derail development za mwananchi. Kwa mfano kuna ile sheria ya nyumba ambayo ulikuwa unaitaja, kuna ile sheria ya afya ya SHIF ambayo tumeambiwa sasa wafanyikazi wa serikali tutaanza kukatwa mwezi Julai badala ya Machi. Labda serikali imelaumu mahakama kwa kurudisha maendeleo yake nyumba kwa kuzia utekelezaji wa sheria. Ni nini maoni yako kuhusiana na jambo hili daktari?
Mimi nasema hizo vipengee zote haziko vibaya, lakini bad timing. Unajua kuna ile naitwanga which is your correct timing to bring an agenda. Sasa hivi unaona unajua Mkenya sasa hivi hata kuna wale waliacha kuangalia hata news kwa sababu NHIF SHIF yani unashindwa housing levy, mara umeanza kukatwa, mara ngojea hii wakati. Wakenya wamechanganyika. Na kama wanasema tuseme sheria yenyewe, wale wako kwa sheria nafikiri wanafuata constitution yetu ya 2010 yenye jabadilishwa, na kwa maongezi yao nilisikia wanataka kufanya amendments. Lakini sasa mimi kitu ile nasema hii mambo yote imepangwa na rais wetu wa Kenya Dr. William Samoei Ruto, yote iko sawa, lakini ile shida mimi naona kwangu mimi ni timing. Hiyo ni nzuri, vijana wetu wapate kazi sawa, lakini mimi nasema what is there to do immediately to fix the current problem? Kuna majimbo 47, so tunataka vijana wapate kazi. Kwa majimbo kwenye counties kuna county governments. Hizo county governments zinaweza weka vipengee zile zinatetea wamama na vijana, ili unasema percentage ya zile tenders ziko pale, contracts ziko pale, unapata wale wenye wanafanya kazi kwa hizo contracts iwe kuna specification ya kusema accommodating the women and the youth. Unaona? Lakini hili ingoje, si ati ikatwe kabisa, ingoje for the right timing. Hiyo mambo watu wanasema iko sawa, but the right timing. Na alafu imekuwa in the past, sijui court orders zinaitwa vipi kwa Kiswahili?
Amri tu za mahakama.
Amri tu za mahakama hazifuatwi. Hazifuatwi. Sana na wale wenye viongozi wetu. azifuatwi. Sasa wewe ufuati, sembuse mimi sasa raia itakuwa vipi? Sasa ndio hiyo mimi nasema lazima kuwe na uwiano na heshima na independence ile ya judiciary izidi kuwa hapo na kwa heshima, si kana kwamba kuna nyingine inadharau nyingine. Na sisi serikali yetu pia ipate kuelewa wale wanapopitisha maneno si kwa sababu wanataka kumtesa yeye, kwa sababu wale wanapitisha pia hao ni wa Kenya, si ati wametoka Tanzania ama wametoka Uganda, pia hao ni wa Kenya. Ili tuwe ni nini iko sawa kwa Mkenya, ili sisi wote tunaongea lugha moja, isije tunaongea tunafanya hii tunafanya hii. Wacha nikwambie vitu kwa ground ni different. Hii mambo tunashinda tukiongea hapa, na mimi nasema kuna watu wako chini, hata hiyo redio hawana, labda akiwa kwa gari hivi amepewa lift kwa gari asikize, na hata pata kusikiza kila kitu. Wakenya wako na shida, hatuwezi jumlisha ati lazima awe amesikia. Na alafu sisi kuzungumza hapa, unajua hii ni talk, hii ni talk show tu, hii ni talk show tu. Wale wa amri wanatoa orodha ya mambo yao, uchumi inarudi chini lini kwa kirasmi, si mambo ya talk ati tumekuja KBC tumeongea tunafanya hivi, tumekuwa na hii committee tumefanya hivi, hii itarudi chini, dola ikirudi chini watu wa nduthi watakuwa. Nani amekwambia kila mtu anataka nduthi? Nani amekwambia? Nani amekwambia anataka hiyo biashara ya kununua nduthi?
Ni source of employment.
It's a source of employment, lakini do you know that the all Kenyans, kama mimi sijaipanda nduthi na sijawahi kuwa na hiyo akili ati nataka kupanda na nduthi, unaona hiyo ni hasara, sababu mimi sijapeana pesa yangu kwa bodaboda, unaona. So kwa sababu wacha tujifungue, tufikirie wa Kenya kwa in a wider perspective, in a wider perspective. Hatuwezi sema atuchumi iende pande hii. Dola, ambia ule mama mboga vizuri, wachana na mambo ya nduthi. Ambia tu mama mboga, ikifika hii wakati utakuwa unanunua mafuta ya mboga hii ya kukaanga mboga, utakuwa unanunua sukari hivi kwa sababu dola ilifanya hivi, importation ikawa hivi. Na inasi kuongea kwa talk show hapa hivi. Ni wewe wale watu wako kwa na hiyo, kwa hiyo budget and whatever, watuelezee kwa rasmi, ili tukingoja hiyo Julai, vile wanangoja Julai tulipe hizo pesa, those levies whatever they are. Tukingoja hapo, naye mama mboga anangoja nikifika June mafuta ile ni kwa nanunua 100 na 20 bob.
Shikilia hapo daktari. Na mheshimiwa, naona unanyosha mkono.
Ndio nimemwasha nduthi.
Na mheshimiwa Tabitha.
Mimi unanichanganya kabisa, mimi nashindwa kama Dr. Evelyn ni economist ama ni mwanasiasa wa upinzani, kwa sababu
leo mimi ni mama mboga. Leo mimi mama mboga.
Kwa sababu Rashid nikimsikiza ananichanganya zaidi. Mimi boda nimepanda, hata naweza panda, wachana na ile gari langu Mungu amenibariki nalo liko pale nje. Nikiona nachelewa kwa traffic nashuka, nachukua boda naenda. Na waheshimu wana boda sana sana kabisa. Na issue ya boda ni mfano katika mifano mengi ambayo tungeweza kupeana, kwa sababu hatuwezi chukua muda wote kupeana mifano zaidi, lakini wana boda mimi nawapatia saluti wakati wowote. Ni kitengo ambacho naheshimu sana, wamenisaidia sana, sababu unajua hata sasa nikitaka chochote siwezi fikia, ni nduthi tu na ananifikishia chochote ambacho nataka. Ni sekta tunatambua na tunawapa saluti. Niseme ya kwamba nikisikiza daktari, ndio sababu mimi nachanganyikiwa. Ako katika upinzani,
niko mama mboga. Mimi daktari, lakini kwa hii mazungumzo mimi ni mama mboga.
Haya. Niseme ya kwamba nikisikiza akisema katika counties, na unajua pale awali alianza kusema tuko na maraisi 48. Unashindwa ni 47 na bado arudia. Yaani washindwa, kwani sheria ya Kenya ina rais mmoja.
Basi tuwaite magavana, sio?
Si ati tuwaite Rashid.
Ni magavana.
Wanaitwa magavana katika zile counties, 47 counties. Na anasema ya kwamba waweze kuensure ya kwamba youth na wamama wanafanya kazi. Sheria iko wazi. Procurement Disposal Act 53(6) of the Kenyan Constitution inasema 30% imetengewa people with disability women and the youth. Hiyo ni sheria iko katika nchi yetu, iko katika article 53(6) of the procurement disposal. So hizi ni vitu ziko, na truthfully speaking, hata saa hii uende katika county bado sheria inasema hivyo. Unaona hata county wakiadvertise the attendance watasema ile all, kuna ya women, youth. Hizi ni vitu ambazo zipo, hatufai kujadiliana sana kwa sababu ni sheria ambayo iliyopo. Ulikuwa umeuliza swali Rashid ya mambo ya judiciary.
Versus executive.
Exactly. There are 3 arms of government. Na judiciary, executive and parliament.
Yes.
Na kuna heshima mingi sana kwa sababu kila kitengo kiko independent. Wakati rais alizungumzia kwa sababu ya ile issue sana ya housing, wakati ambapo vijana wetu walisimamishwa kazi. Kwa sababu kumbuka bado wale vijana ambao wako ile bottom, wako pale chini kiuchumi, lengo kuu la hii housing ni kuwanufaa wao. Wanasiasa wamekuwa wakienda katika vitongoji duni kutafuta kura, kusema ya kwamba tutaboresha. Wakati unasema ya kwamba hii mambo ingojee, inangoja mpaka lini? Kabla nizaliwe Rashid, tumepata slums na mpaka wa leo slums ziko. Tunangoja kengele gani ilie? Mwaka upi? Lini? Lazima kuwe na start. Na hakuna start ambayo itakuja kufurahisha wakati wowote. Azimio niseme ya kwamba walikuwa na mambo ya housing plan. Walikuwa nayo katika manifesto yao. Sisi pia tumekuwa nayo. Ni common katika sisi wote. Wakati the courts wali nullify at that time, walihusisha ya kwamba then kila Mkenya aweze kutozwa. Kwa sababu sikai ni peke yake, ni kama wale wanafanya kazi peke yake. Na hiyo ndio ilikuwa changamoto. Lakini benefit ya the bigger benefit ambayo iko pale haikuwa ifurahisha sana, kwa sababu saa zingine wakati mambo ile long term itakuwa mzuri, wakati inaanza hapa inakuwa na changamoto. But with time utapata ya kwamba itakuja, itasettle na itaeleweka. Ukiangalia tumekuwa na issue ya social housing, social health care. Na hii ni ambayo inakuja kuleta a better solution from NHIF. Unapata umekuwa na kadi ya NHIF na unaenda pale hospitali na unapata kuna huduma ambazo huwezi pata na unalipa what for. So with the universal inakuja kukava hata issues kama za chronic diseases kama cancer. Kutakuwa na much more a bigger budget pia ambayo itaweza kuimprove the government facilities. Yeah, in terms of sana in terms of the equipments, kutakuwa na a percentage of that funding ambayo inaenda kuimprove the equipments, because unapata mashini iko na haifanyi. So what are we doing? Na tunaendeleaje? So wakati mambo inakuja na inakuwa mpya, unapata inataka kuangaliliwa tu kwa ile njia nyingine ambayo hutaki kuambia mwananchi haya ndio manufaa ama hii ndio faida ambayo itakuwa na anything ambayo serikali imeleta, kama ni hiyo social health care, kama ni mambo ya housing. Katika judiciary hakuna vita, ni kujiongea na kuzungumza, kwa sababu hata wewe ukiwa umekereka utazungumza, lakini hujamaanisha ya kwamba wewe ndio ufanye nini, useme ya kwamba hii sheria ikuwe namna hii ama ikuwe namna hii, lakini it was an expression na yeye ilifanyika na ikawa hivyo. Na unapata ya kwamba tuache kama viongozi kujaribu kuchukua muda sana kuonyesha ni kana kwamba kuna vita sana zaidi. Na utaona huu mwaka kwanza ni ule mwaka Rashid, ni ule mwaka wa kuona mabadiliko mapya, kwa sababu hii vita na mambo mengi ya opposition ya nini inaenda ikipungua. Kwa hivyo wale wako na expertise, wale kama ni experts in terms of the matters economic matters, anything in that health, whatever it is, legals and all that, what deviate from politics. Let them stick to their profession. Na sisi siasa tuachiwe, lakini ukiangalia hatuna wakati wa kupiga siasa zaidi. Tuna wakati wa kuanalyze. Na ndio niko confident nikisema ya kwamba hata kama hiyo mafuta imeshuka na shilingi 1, twashukuru. Kesho itashuka na itashuka na 5, tutasema sio kitu. Kwa mtu, kuna mtu ambaye kwake ni kitu. Kuna mtu ambaye akona fleet, anafanya fleet management of logistics, na hiyo shilingi 1 hiyo hivi peke yake iko na very big impact katika kampuni yake.
didn't you tell me the truth, Reynaldo?
I didn't say anything about what?
Why didn't you tell me that the person who rescued me on the beach wasn't you, but Ruben? Tell me. Why don't you tell him what I came here for? Tell him.
Stop it. That's enough.
Go ahead. Why don't you tell him? Ask her what happened, Dad.
I'm not interested. This whole thing's over.
Just get out of my house. I don't want to see you, simple as that. And it's better if we forget about what happened between us.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevakishwa. Sile wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Of the Korogosho slums, a remarkable journey of hope and transformation unfolds. This is the inspiring story of the Mng'aro Mtaani Foundation and its visionary founder, Torres Sam Omo.
I am the founder of Mng'aro Mtaani. Mng'aro Mtaani was founded in the year 2010 through a dream. Also after passing through a lot.
It all began with a young boy's dream. Torres, a product of these very streets, aspired to do something extraordinary, something that would touch the lives of his fellow residents in a meaningful way. His journey started with a simple observation. He noticed the daily struggle faced by the people of Korogosho, particularly the challenge of affording basic clothing.
Being in a situation that I have only one cloth, wearing it daily, going with it in the church, being that sometimes I could love to look decent, but sometimes I didn't have something to put on. The same would happen to my neighborhood and my neighbors. So there's a time I sat down and started to think about what can I do how can I help this situation.
Driven by compassion and unwavering desire to make a difference, he launched his first initiative after completing his studies. The core idea behind this initiative was simple, yet powerful. They would collect gently used clothing from those who had more than they needed and distributed them to those who had too little. It may have started as a simple idea, but it quickly gained momentum, providing much-needed clothing to families and individuals who could not afford new garments. But the Mng'aro Mtaani Foundation does not stop at clothing. As Torres and his dedicated team witnessed the impact they were making, they realized there was much more they could do.
Mimi nasalimia tu wote wametusaidia na hii vitu, waambie tuko sawa. Wametusaidia sana.
They extended their initiatives to address various pressing needs within the community, such as menstrual hygiene support for young girls and essential assistance for the elderly.
For a menstrual hygiene, to give young girls sanitary towels, and also bring them mentors who can tell them, women mentors who can talk to them about menstrual hygiene, tell them that that is just a normal thing in a woman's life. And that's how we started now giving sanitary towels until we got a support from, I don't know if I can mention, we got a support from Safaricom. They gave us sanitary towels, then with pads, and then we started to run out a menstrual hygiene program in school.
Disaster response and mitigation and recovery are also integral parts of their mission. When calamity strikes, the foundation is ready to respond promptly, demonstrating their agility and readiness to serve their communities in times of crisis.
There's also disaster response. There's a time Kibera was on fire, so we had little clothes in our store. So we made a call, and we received several clothes and some good donations. We took them to Kibera, and then that's when now we started doing a disaster response. Through disaster response, we also went to that place is called Solai. You remember the tragic that happened in Solai? We managed to collect like 2 trucks of clothes, then we took them there just to stand with the Solai victims.
One of the most compelling initiatives is the Boxer Boys campaign, which acknowledges the unique challenges faced by the young boys today. This campaign provides them with essential items and support, emphasizing the importance of uplifting the boy child to build a brighter future for all.
We have a mentorship program that runs into schools, and this one cuts across. But we have a challenge with the boys because most of the people that are supporting us, most of their focus is on young women. And the boys have been left behind. As much as we're saying that no man should be left behind, the boy child is really suffering, and we would love to bring on to attention that the boy child should be taken care of, because if we empower more men, more women, who will marry these beautiful women with skills.
Beyond material support, the foundation organizes various activities for the youth, including sports events and mentorship programs. These initiatives offer not only opportunities for personal growth, but also a sense of community and belonging.
We also have sports in Mungaro Mtani. And how does sports work? Every year we have a tournament. It's like a super cup, whereby we have a program that we want. Maybe it's like a theme, or we want to bring young people together, and no one is left behind. What a man can do, a woman can do, a girl can do. So we bring a mixed tournament whereby we have 3 boys and 3 girls, or 4 girls and 3 girls, depending on how your team want to play.
Torres and the Mungaro Mtani Foundation are real-life heroes. They stand as a testament to the belief that one person's determination and compassion can create a ripple of positive change within a community.
Every individual has their internal struggles they will rather keep to themselves away from the scrutiny of others. Meet Chebet, not her real name, who seems okay from the outside, but she carries with her a painful story. It was a day like any other when she boarded a motorbike to go to work, when the motorcyclist diverted to what he termed a shorter route.
Akaniambia tunaenda na hiyo ndo tufike haraka. Akasema sasa ni mapema na mtu hata penye ananipeleka haifai, but ile nikamwamini, nikaona amesema pia anaenda kare, acha niende anifikishe haraka kwa sababu hata nilikuwa nimechelewa.
That ride will change her life forever.
Sasa kwa good luck ikasimama. Baada sasa ile kusimama akanigonga. So kuanguka ndo akashuka kwa pikipiki akakuja akanivuta. Ndo akanitoa trouser. Akaanza kunirape.
She felt like the world had conspired against her and she wept for days on end.
So like hakuna mtu nimeingizwa hapo ndani, sasa nikakosa advice nitafanya nini. Kwa familia yetu hakuna mtu anakuwa anajua, so nilikuwa nashinda tu kwa nyumba analia, nasema sasa kutakuwaje.
She opted for counseling.
Na sasa mimi nilikuja hiyo first session, niliona like kuna wasichana wengine, so nikakuwa like kumbe si mimi peke yangu, labda ningekaa kwa nyumba ningeumia peke yangu.
At the recovery center, we met 2 more women who have also suffered from domestic violence. As mothers and wives, they persevered abuses from their spouses for a long time.
Mi kufika saa 4, it's like aliona nimekuja kama saa 8 usiku ama sijui ni nini. Akaanza kunipiga, kanipiga. Watoto wamelala, anawaambia wasijaribu kuongea.
For Elizabeth Wambui, her love story turned into a nightmare when she got pregnant.
I just wanted a yes or no answer. You promised to take me for the baby we are expecting shopping. Are we going so that I can get ready? But he snapped off and started beating me up.
She wanted to save her marriage, but in her silence, it would seem she was digging her own grave.
At a point where now he takes a metal and he's strangling me. He wants to kill me. And he's swearing curses and swearing how he will kill me and kill the children.
Counseling for both women was a 7 grace that brought them peace and healing. They want other women to break the silence on gender-based violence.
Ifanywa kitu kama hiyo, inafaa ujitokeze. Kwa sababu mimi sikuwa na courage ya kukuja hivi.
Msivumilie, watu wengi sana wanakufa. Wanauliwa juu ya jina nimeolewa. Siwezi toka kwa mume wangu.
Stop keeping quiet, because keeping quiet first of all is the enabling factor for these people.
Fina Nyakwara, case manager from the Gender Violence Recovery Center, attributed most gender-based violence in Kenya to patriarchal culture.
And because again, when you look on the culture and the stereotyping in the society, sometimes it drags the elimination of gender-based violence in Kenya actually. But it just calls for so many individuals or partners just to work towards elimination.
Aber Sadi, a safety consultant, calling for a collective responsibility to eliminate gender-based violence.
It's not an individual responsibility. It's a responsibility of the state that those women works on or operate in. It's a responsibility of the organizations on general and the organizations that are working on the women issue. So it's not only the responsibility of the woman only to protect herself, but it is related to the society.
The gender-based violence hotline 1195 works in partnership with the Ministry of Public Service and Gender to help victims get fast assistance to healthcare assistance. Nowhere in the world is the woman safe from violence. The need to unite and invest in the key preventive measures will go a long way to eliminate violence against women.
Still Doctor is a title earned by one Chris Odhiambo as a result of his prowess as a blacksmith with a specialization in steel.
Still Doctor ni jina nilipewa kikazi kulingana na kazi nilikuwa nafanya. So mafundi wenzangu walianza tu kuniita daktari. So mimi pia nikaona nitumie jina ya Still Doctor. Kitu ikikuja ngumu workshop, mimi nilikuwa napewa Still Doctor ifanyie hii. Na hiyo ikikuwa ngumu aje ni mimi nafanya.
This story is an inspiring one. From a high school dropout to an established entrepreneur and employer of more than 40 staff, he is writing a different story for himself.
After school, I dropped out kwa nikiwa form 3. Nikaenda Naivasha, nikapata yule mwenye amekubali kunisaidia. Kwa relative kutoka nyumbani, alinifundisha hii kazi. From there nikakaa na yeye 6 months, nikapata naweza tengeneza dirisha. Nikaenda Meru. From Meru nikakaa Meru for 5 years. Hapo 5 years nikiwa nimeajiriwa mahali moja. So hapo nilitoka na agent ya Still Doctor, sasa nikaanza kujiajiri mimi mwenyewe. Kisha kuwa mtu umefanyia mtu sana na ukapata wewe mwenyewe unajiweza. Because kile yule mtu anafanya, unaona wewe mwenyewe unaweza fanya. So niliamua mimi mwenyewe ninunue kama mashini kangu moja. After kununua mashini moja, naye nika-advisiwa na watu, ukiwa umetoka mahali unafanya, unaenda distance kidogo ili uache yule boss wako nafasi because wengi wanakujua. So niliamua kutoka Meru nikakuja hapa Ruiru. So far niko na watu 43. 15 ni wale ninawafundisha kazi. Alafu the balance ni wale wenye mafundi aswa.
We paid him a visit at his workshop and got to have a feel and gain an understanding of the steel business in the manufacturing sector. With his accomplishments in the industry, there are still a few things he is not pleased with. The fact that it is very hard for an entrepreneur like him to get government tenders to supply his merchandise.
My future is I'll just talk to government. Like mimi niko na youth around 43. Basi ngine tunasota, tunakosa job. Hawa vijana wanakaa kwa nyumba. Kila mtu simu, Still Doctor, kuna kazi. Sasa inabidi tunakaa nao hapa. Na ukienda kutafuta pale tenda kwa government, it is hard. So government kama wanaweza tufikia. Pia sisi talent yetu. Watu wengine wanaenda kununua Eurodolls from outside and we are making them here. The dolls tunatengeneza hapa sisi wenyewe. They should promote them. Yeah.
And secondly, he says some people still prefer importing products from abroad, yet the same products are made here in Kenya. He gives an example of the Eurodoll. He refers to his as the Kenyan dough as it is made here in our land with the same quality standard.
Ni one of the dolls. Naona mkienda pale Europe nasema ati kuna Eurodoll. Sisi tunatengeneza Eurodoll hapa. Na watu wanazinunua. Watu wana import kutoka nje na tunatengeneza hapa. Materials zangu mostly na buy Central Kenya. Inaitwa Central Auto iko Industrial. Asa then pia wenye wako hapa within kama sina kazi kubwa iko na Neema hardware hapa nyuma. Sasa pale ndio nina at least huwezi kama mahali unakosa kupromote watu wa area. Yeah, but nikitaka big bulk saa zile kazi kubwa imekuja naenda Central. I have to promote Kenya because they are promoting me.
Over the years, he has progressively grown thanks to open-mindedness, creativity, and quick adoption to technology to make his work easier and better.
It is a long journey. Si rahisi because sahi niko na from Meru, sahi niko na 5 years hapa. Na hiyo 5 years kwanza nilifungua workshop ya kwanza ikaanguka. Hapa Ruiru tu. It was not easy. Kwa nimeweka mashini zangu. Natembea hapa kutoka Ruiru mpaka Thika nikitembea workshops, kutafuta kazi. Kazi pia haiko. From there nikaona this is hard. So nikafungua online page yangu ya Facebook. Nikaanza kupost kazi zangu huko. Na watu wakaanza kuniitia kazi. First time nikianza kazi nilikuwa natumia akso kukata chuma, the blade. So nikapata akso, it is hard with the field. So nikaingia kwa hii teknolojia ya grinder. Najifundisha unakanyaga chuma, unajikatia ikiwa hapo kwa ground such that ukienda kwa site kufanya kazi hausumbuki mahali pa kukata chuma. Ni kitu watu wangu wote venye wako hapa nimewafunza wamejua. Ukienda field, kuweka chuma chini na square na kata. From another thing yenye nimesema kutoka kwa ile welding ya zamani, this type of finishing. Kutoka kwa finishing tuliintroduce kenye inaitwa powder coating. So powder coating we call it first class. First class, this is it. Shatengeneza hii hivi, unapelekwa kwa oven, inapikwa, inatoka na final coat. Then we have a spray. Spray ndio zile za rangi zinatumika kwa magari. Tukishatengeneza dirisha, tunaenda tunachukua rangi, tuna spray.
Kila wakati maisha ni muhimu. So kama maisha ni muhimu, lazima uweze kujikinga. Hii vile tu nimekuonyesha hii powder is such kind of very small particles za powder. Na mara mingi sana zinaenda na hewa. So zikienda na hewa, ukiweza kufanya kazi hapa ndani bila kuprotect your nose ama your breathing system, utaweza kuinhale hiyo hewa. Na hiyo hewa obvious lazima the particles lazima ziwe ziko na effect. So ndio maana tumekuwa advised ukinunua machine, mwenye ana operate machine lazima iwe na hiyo nose mask.
Washington Onyango, a neighbor to the still doctor, owns a cutting-edge technology in his workshop called the CNC laser machine that helps with the fabrication process. This is mostly for the aesthetic value of the products, creating different designs pleasing to the eyes. This is the process that takes place.
Ile kazi tunafanya ni ya kutengeneza all kitu yote ambayo ina deal na chuma. Iwe dirisha, iwe mlango, gate, grills, roof, kitu yote ambayo ina deal na steel work. Tunafanya kazi ya laser fiber cutting machine, ambayo hii machine tunatumia kukata kudecorate balcon grill, staircase grill, and maybe pangola. Tunatumia decoration of a black sheet. Ile mabati tunatumia kuweka kwa staircase. Process ya kwanza ni mambo ya art. Hiyo kitu inachorwa kwa laptop, inatolewa kwa laptop, inaloadiwa kwa USB, inatoka from USB. Kuna code una generate ile code itaweza kuelewana na software ya machine, ndio machine iweze kurun. So unatoa from laptop to USB to computer ya machine. Then after hapo, once usha feed because the machine is computerized, ukisha feed kwa computer itaweza kuoperate tu yenyewe.
Unahitaji skills za engineering kidogo. Unafaa kuwa unajua kuchora na CAD software. Ukishajua kuchora, hiyo ndio kazi kubwa. Process ya kwanza ni kuchora kwa machine. Ukishapata design, unaingia kwa laptop, unachora. After hapo unakuja una generate G-code, alafu unaileta inafidiwa kwa machine. Kuna software za kugenerate G-code kwa laptop. Inaitwa SheetCam. Ni kadhaa. SheetCam ni moja yake. Kisha generate, unaleta hiyo kazi kwa flash disk hapa kwa machine. After hapo unakuja una load hapa. Hapo unaweza rotate, unaweza fanya editing zako vizuri zenye zinahitajika. Just a simple computer. Ile kitu muhimu ni software tu iko ndani. Inatumika ku connect drawing na ile kichwa. Kutoka hapo unaendesha machine. Unaendesha hapa ama utumie remote yake.
The powder coating is another important aspect in making classy doors, and they are the main reason Chris sees the need of having a workshop, because otherwise house calls are quite convenient and to some extent more profitable.
Hapa workshop ina base, mtu akitaka nimfanyie powder coating afanye hapa, but nikitwa nje ninaenda nafanya, na hiyo ndio ninapenda kabisa, siwezi wacha. Like sasa tuseme hii ni one of mheshimiwa, siwezi mtaja. Though tunataka ile kitu mheshimiwa akiona ama ule mtu mwenye anapenda kitu mzuri inavutia. This gate hii ni chuma tu kawaida hapa Kenya. Ni chuma ya kawaida. Penye unaweza tengeneza hii gate ya kawaida ukiwa umekata chuma unaunganisha. The same thing we are doing here. But ni wewe tu mwenyewe unataka kurembesha, yani ufanye kitu yenye inavutia.
This is how it is in the steel business, and Chris has a bigger vision for the future.
It needs a lot of trust. Because you've just met with someone on Facebook. Akujui, ako US, mwingine ako Germany, ameona kazi yako kwa picha, when you explainia huyu mtu kazi ili upatane upate pesa, it's not easy. Venye mnaona nimefanya hii gate hapa. Nilikuwa nikishafanya gate, napiga picha, nishapiga picha na post kwa Facebook. Then I joined groups kwa Facebook, Builders Kenya, Home Beautiful. Sasa kazi yangu nikifanya naweka pale kwa groups. Nina advert, buy material, we work at your doorstep. Because sikukuwa na pesa, hata sasa sina. But nilikuwa naona kifanya kazi, kiambia mtu buy material, we work at your doorstep. Unatembea watu wanakuita unawafanyia kazi nzuri. It make work easier. Because someone is in Migori na anataka service yako na anakuambia uko mbali. So naona tu kwangu ni rahisi, because nitaenda pale nimwandikie chuma kulingana na zile design amechagua, alafu namfanyia kiti yake hapo na ninaenda zangu.
His message to the young people is a simple one.
Siwezi ambia vijana it is not easy sana. You have to try unless paka ufike mahali still doctor sasa mfika. Na bado pia nataka nifike mbele kuliko hapo.
That is the still doctor. From a humble beginning that didn't define him to an industrious present, setting him up for a predictably strong, prosperous, and impactful future.
The king in the land of
This February, precious moments with Channel One entail endless hours of warm sentiments.
I really love you.
Oh, Lord. Joy.
Did you get the job, Letty?
Romance.
Oh, babe.
Affection. Passion.
Na hisia zinasobubujika moyoni mwangu.
Family.
Who are those flowers for?
Oh, I'm sure they're for Lucia.
Fulfillment.
This is so sweet.
That's Dad.
An array of programs specially selected for you to give you and your loved ones the cozy feeling of being at home.
Impressive.
Baby, let me tell you.
The treat is on us.
Are you serious?
Just give us a chance.
Make a date with KBC Channel 1 in the month of love for a heartwarming experience.
You will love it.
What message are you going to give my sister?
Mr. Marcello wanted me to give her his message.
Yes, I heard that. What I want to know is what he said.
I already explained it to you. It was an accident. The lady started to yell and I wanted to quiet her down. I just don't know how it came to that.
Just tell me, are you absolutely sure that she's... What happened to you? Trini, why don't you answer me? Trini, come on.
You don't need to come back.
John Cheruiyot's education journey ended after completing his A-level examination at Kakamega High School in 1971, where he was a loyal member of the Christian Union. His journey in politics would begin when the late Ezekiel Baringetuni, the then Nandi Kingpin, would recommend him to replace the then National Assembly Speaker, Samuel Arap Ngeni, who appeared to have had a fallout with the government. Cheruiyot had an added advantage as he was the son of Ezekiel Birek, the head of the African Inland Church, where the late President Moi was an ardent worshipper. This would expose him to the field of politics from business, and in 1988 he was elected Aldai Member of Parliament through the infamous Mlolongo political system. Unknown to many, Cheruiyot became the minister after his Tinderet counterpart was sacked hardly 9 months after assuming office as Minister for Commerce. Cheruiyot would go ahead to serve as minister for 4 years from 1988 to 1992. At that time, the Commissioner for Cooperatives, Raymond Bomet, had more political clout than the minister. In many instances, Bomet executed his mandate without consulting him, with serious implications in some instances. Bomet, who enjoyed unfettered access to the then president, could make decisions like dissolving cooperative boards without informing the minister. It was during Cheruiyot's tenure that several cooperative societies and unions went under, largely due to undue political pressure. In 1992, he lost his Aldai parliamentary seat to Paul Titi. In 1993, he was appointed Rivertex Limited chairman before he disappeared into political obscurity. In 2015, a Nairobi court jailed him for 6 years for failing to pay a 20-year-old outstanding debt of 2 million shillings, of which 1.6 million shillings was interest. He successfully appealed and the jail term was suspended. Today, Cheruiyot's presence is felt more in nostalgic reminiscence than in the political arena. He would retreat to his family farm after departing from the murky political landscape to a quiet life after a journey that was marked by both triumph and tribulations. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. And now we shift gears and talk about the United Nations Environmental Assembly 6th edition that is happening here in Nairobi. And in studio, I'm joined by one Daniel Wanjoki, who is the lead scientist and CEO of EcoSave Africa. Karibu sana to the studio. How are you doing?
I'm quite fine.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes. Let's get right into it. What should African countries especially expect or pursue in as far as the ongoing UNEA 6 is concerned?
To be truthful, this is not a very good opportunity for us in Africa. This is the 6th UNEA.
Yes.
But besides the UNEA, we had the COP28.
Yes.
A lot of promises were made, and we were promised heaven. But nothing really has happened. So I would still describe this as a talk show and an opportunity for Kenya to have tourists by forced tourists. The discussion, even today if you come from the airport or to the UNEP headquarters, there's nothing that tells us something is happening. Other than the jam, there's nothing. We've failed to capitalize on this opportunity to discuss what we did in September during the African Summit.
Yes.
That's what we should be hearing now. The discussion we had here was very good. We had very fruitful discussions. during the summit. And this was a side show. This is the main thing now when everybody in the world is listening, but there's very little coming from the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stakeholders have also called for the actualization of the loss and damage fund. But from the way you have said, is there a commitment really?
Fortunately for Kenya, we actually got some money, a number, I think 600 billion, which was supposed to be used for climate mitigation. That is to make it easier for life easier for pastoralists in our country who have been affected by the loss of pasture through climate change. We should have done something about, now we should be doing something about our energy sector. Our electricity is still high. We are not able to do production. We have a problem already with cutting down of trees to provide firewood. Yes. I would have thought this opportunity would give us the impetus to go to the villages and help them do biogas systems so that they can produce energy without cutting down trees and use that money. Actually, you would ask yourself what has, other than the tree planting we did for a whole day in the whole country, there's nothing much you can actually associate to the climate change, the funds that were provided in COP28, and there's also nothing much coming in terms of what is happening on the ground. Even fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer doesn't seem to have traction in many parts of the country. We know some parts of the country are doing well with the distribution of fertilizer. Although it was not even meant for climate change, but it could help us reduce the impact of climate change by having a better crop. Yes. But it's not happening in many parts of the country. It is not. So we are still, we're not focused on things that can actually change our lives. And while we have a lot of discussions, a lot of white papers being discussed at UNEA, there's very little on the ground. My parent may not know this UNEA today, but she's the same person who is affected by climate change. The crops didn't come, the rains didn't come at the right time. When she was now preparing to harvest, rains came in January when nobody expected it. And nobody has explained to her. Not a single radio program has been factored to address that population of people who are not able to go attend UNEA at UNEP. We have, that discussion is not there. Yes. How a Maasai huntsman can improve his pasture land, harvest the green fodder now, and make it into silage so that he can let alone use it when the rains don't come. No discussion in that direction is happening. And that's why I'm saying UNEA may not have an impact on our personal lives. Okay. Yeah.
So even when we still talk about the loss and damage fund, what other challenges are impeding its implementation within the legal, the framework of international climate negotiations?
Lily, when you look at the approach we give to the loss and damage fund is put the money in the account. We will decide what to do with it. It happens that most of us have a freezer account. Yeah. And so the money coming in, you just set up a note debt. Yes. Maybe clear you from a CRB. Yes. Listing, and then from there, life is going as usual. Yes. There was no focus on what markets, how as a person, a farmer can walk into a bank and say, in my farm, I have 300 trees, stands of tree. You know, can you come and confirm that is happening in my farm? Yes. Pay me 300 shillings per tree. Only. Yes. There is no such a discussion. So farmers will continue cutting down their trees because nobody is telling them that if you promote tree growing in your farm, you actually reduce climate change, and so you actually, and that's what that money was meant for. And the money for loss of and damage is supposed to actually help us reduce the impact of climate change already happening to us, and also forestall the future climate change, the change in warming to below 1.5, as they said. But as Kenyans last week who experienced the heat wave, and I tell you it's even not 1.5, it's higher.
So one of the things, or one of the contributors to climate change and global warming is methane gas emissions. Talk about what it is and how it contributes, the process, how it contributes to climate change.
Yeah. When we talk about climate change that has been caused by humans, one of them is carbon dioxide from industries. But carbon dioxide happens to be absorbable by plants and other organisms around us.
Yes.
But methane gas, which is a very small molecule, it's a carbon and 4 hydrogen. That's the formula for C form. It's a very tiny molecule. Once released, it goes to the highest point in the atmosphere, around 25 kilometers from the ground, and forms a blanket. This blanket, you may imagine it like your windscreen in the car.
Yes.
When it gets very hot, your car temperature is almost 50 degrees inside, and outside is cooler. It's far much colder.
Yeah.
Methane gas, acting like a greenhouse gas, has a more, almost 80 times more greenhouse, that global warming potential, the potential to create higher temperatures than carbon dioxide. While we are actually talking about bringing electric cars to reduce the carbon dioxide, I would instead plant trees to absorb carbon dioxide. But methane gas, there's no animal or plant that absorbs it, so it should be a big concern. However, in their wisdom, the COP27 decided that they will reduce methane gas by 30% by year 2030.
Yes.
Up to now, science has not found a better solution to methane reduction other than a product actually I am as part of its development, which is a product called EcoTreat waste digester. When used in waste, it actually remodels the reaction such that there's no methane gas formed. And that's my contribution to the climate change discussion. However, there is very little absorption of that information by the scientific world, including UNEP here in Nairobi. This is it's not something that have been embraced as a solution. Fortunately, recently I went to India. I'd been invited for a scientific conference, a CEO's conference, and the discussion came about what I was the only person from Africa in that, being a CEO. When the discussion about methane gas came up, or how we could reduce it, there was nothing industries can do, farmers can do, other than reducing the number of animals they have. There's nothing pastoralists here in Africa can do other than reducing on their stocks. Until our solution comes in, where we are able to actually reduce methane gas production from the animal itself and from the waste generated with the methane gas in the dump site, in the piggery, in the poultry farms. So we are contributing in a big way, but it's very difficult to bring this discussion into the union because it doesn't sound what people want. People want to hear about solar energy. Of course, we don't do solar ourselves. People want to hear electric cars, which is not what we are doing. People want to hear that we are going to change our food production systems to do artificial protein in the lab, which is not what Africans would embrace because they are farmers. We are farmers. We would rather grow the beef from our farm, from our set up in the farm and take it to the market. But that's not a very popular discussion now. If you go to UNIA, you will find that there is a discussion of people changing to non-protein, non-animal beef protein, and even the discussion of making protein from an artificial point of view, meat in the lab.
So between animals and human beings, who are contributing more to methane gas emissions?
About 12% of the methane produced in the world comes from the animals themselves.
Okay.
The beef, that is the cattle, buffalo, and all those animals that chew cud, they contribute about 12%. Their waste contribute almost 20%. The waste from animals. When not managed in a good way, methane gas released in the environment actually contributes further too. That is through the waste management systems. Then we also have another contribution to methane gas which has come from our industries. The way we run our industries, the way municipal wastewater is treated. Some rivers, I can tell you there are some rivers, not here in Kenya, that actually smell to the high heavens because they actually produce methane gas and other chemicals that are not very friendly to the environment. So you can imagine humans all over the world, not here in Kenya, contributing through their waste, almost 40% methane gas through their poor wastewater management systems.
So how urgent are we supposed to address this problem of methane gas emissions?
There are several ways we've been told. Okay, if you look at the agenda on UNEA, they have talked about climate change,
yes,
biodiversity loss,
yes,
and then there's pollution.
Yes.
The pollution part doesn't get the weight it deserves. I'm saying this because I'm 10 years, almost 14 years producing a product that solves a problem. I've been able to sell to about 17 countries, now going to about 18 countries in the world. But it should have been an agenda between Kenya and the rest of the world of a solution they have. Being that UNEP is here in Kenya, it should be the pride of our president and the government to say that on issues that we have been facing about methane gas, whose target we have to reduce by that 2030 by this percentage, we already have a solution. So when you are going back to your country, take this solution as part of your Kenya's contribution.
Yes.
I'm telling you this because I'm hot in the heels of an international conference where I was able to discuss this, and many people would say, oh, we want that solution in our country. But the problem, Bwana Mike, is I cannot take it out of the country through the airport without a lot of government-to-government collaboration.
Yes.
So that's the limit. So why would not the government of Kenya, UNEP, and the whole assemblage of head of states not embrace a technology that has been recognized as workable, that does not disrupt our food production system, that we don't have to take away our beef or cattle rearing, and instead we work as a country, giving a solution that it's hard-hitting, because the moment you start using this product, you actually eliminate methane gas for the next 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
Probably, I'm just using 15 years because that's how long I've been this. But it works every time we try it. We've done it for river cleaning here in Nairobi. We've done it for wastewater management for estates around Nairobi that don't have sewage. We have done all those hotels in Mombasa along the coastline that used to discharge sewage at night.
So this is the eco treat product.
Eco treat with digester. It takes away the methane gas, it cleans your water, allows you to recycle it over and over, and takes away a lot of unnecessary works that are done around waste management. Things like blowing air into the system, which means that you are now reducing the amount of power you are using. You allow the water to be recovered, so you don't have to get fresh water for you to green the loans in the hotels.
Yes.
And finally, the product itself actually eliminates the use of chemicals like naphthalene, which actually are climate change agents, like what we use in uranos called the urano balls.
Yes.
That gas that is released to the environment is actually very harmful to the environment as much as methane gases. But when you use EcoTreat, you actually take away the need to use those chemicals.
Yes.
And so those are things that our government should actually be selling at the UNEA.
Yes.
And probably give the world the benefit of a technology that is locally grown.
As we close this session, is the government giving science the right support in terms of finances and innovations or funding research in this area?
When I try to go to look for funds on that scientific aspect, normally the government is looking for youth-led innovations.
Yes.
But you're looking for youth-led innovation when youth should actually be plugging into this, because this can help every youth in the world to get can create jobs in every country. So it doesn't have to be a youth-led innovation.
Yes.
That's the wrong approach we give it.
Yes.
Instead, we should look at what is it that the youth can capture in this technology space, and learn with it to improve the world as a whole.
Yes.
Not waiting for someone to come with an idea of how well to make beads. An innovation on bead making, disregarding that bead making may not be actually a job creating opportunity.
Yes.
But instead, if you help these youths use technology that's already developed, I have patents on this, but we're ready to give those patents to the youths to help them establish a better climate for all of us, better environmental management, less chemical usage. And it's not just about here in Kenya. I can tell you every household in the world would actually benefit. So for the country, that's bigger than the coffee industry, and it's bigger than the tea industry. So in terms of the revenue that would come. But it's very difficult to push this idea in an environment where we are used to the north to south. Most solutions, the solar panels coming down, electric cars coming down from north to south. So when something coming from Africa, it's quite a hard sell, and that's what the challenge we are.
Yes. Thank you so much for making time for us here on Good Morning Kenya, and we look forward to the outcomes of the UNEA 6 that is happening at the UNEP headquarters here in Nairobi. We have been talking to Daniel Wanjoki, who is the lead scientist and CEO at EcoSafe Africa. And here is where we wrap up Matters Good Morning Kenya. On behalf of my co-host, that is Vivian Ndegwa and Victor Olo, my name is Mike. May we continue enjoying the rest of your viewing. Good morning.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunaapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.